Uh,
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. I wanted to have a talk with Justin Thor from the channel JustinThorLP. The link is in the description below.
don't
About
go to it.
yeah, about and we all see him in our chat. Trolling around. We all seen him in the Ungar stream. But I want to talk with him a bit more seriously about his view on role playing and stuff like that. Also, I'm gonna say that right away. Justin does have some very nice T-shirt for sale. If you're into like the printed shirt kind of thing, that you can look in the description below as well. Some of them are a bit childish, some of them are just like, oh, good design. I mean, so look at them for yourself.
Some of them are a little crazy. If
Yeah.
anything is misspelt, let me know.
Hello, Justin. How you doing?
Good, good. You?
Good, good, good. So we talked the other day offline. We do that sometime,
Yeah.
and I wanted to we talked about a bit about your view about role playing game, and I wanted to I say that, man, that was a good conversation we should have on stream.
Yeah.
So let's do that now. How
We
do you
will
what?
try and recapture it,
Yeah.
but I have bad feelings on that.
Well, don't worry too
Uh,
much. You're used
uh,
now to be on stream as well.
huh?
You're used to be on stream. You're
Yeah,
there like,
no, no.
even
It's
though like you just recently put content on your channel, like you have a
well, I
you have time.
used to have a fairly long Minecraft gameplay series on there
Hmm.
that I stopped about 5 or 6 years ago, maybe longer. But you know, I got rid of it because I didn't think it was. That's what the LPs is for. Let's
Yeah.
plays. That's what everybody was calling them back in the day. Uh, and I just never got around to changing the name of the channel because I got everything on the other end, like on the back end, set up for that name.
Yeah.
If you want to email me something or everything.
Mm.
So, yeah,
And Minecraft, eh? That's why you used
yeah.
to be big into Minecraft.
Well, it was very easy to sink time into that game, doing
Oh yeah.
absolutely nothing. Uh,
All right, Justin, tell me about what's your view on role play? Because that's
um,
always like the question that we have. Like we always like discuss about that. Or is it just a game? Is it just, oh, you're playing a fighter, that's your role, so you're doing fighter stuff, you're role playing? Like where do you
um,
stand on that issue?
well, I like the actually doing the thing. Like we were talking. God, I can barely remember the conversation.
That's good. We can have it afresh.
um, but like I don't really like people who live and die by mechanics of a system,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like be consistent in the game you're playing. Uh, keep the rules as light and easy to adapt to situations as possible, and live the character's day-to-day life, right? Don't worry so much about the goal. Like you have goals in life, but you still do the stuff you're doing, right? Like your weekly schedule is your weekly schedule. Your character should have that too, right? Like if you're an adventurer, you do the same things over and over again. I don't know if I fully understand the concept, but you do you do the things that you're supposed to be doing. Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
We
Hello,
got
Captain
some,
Gamer into those Squatch.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, it should be more about immersing yourself in the personality of the person, the goals of the person, and not so much about like,
Winning the game.
yeah, there should be no winning the game beyond uh achieving a set task. Not
Mm.
not so much like defeating uh the the Dark Lord or whatever. Like that might be the set task,
Yep.
but like
or just leveling up.
Yeah,
That's not something necessarily in the game world.
yeah. Like you level up by in real life. You level up by achieving experiences or getting
Yeah.
education, not
Okay.
sliding beads on an asterisk,
Mm-hmm.
abacus.
Yeah.
Abacus, you know what I mean? The stupid, like, that's how
Yep.
people treat leveling up, and that's annoying to me.
Yeah.
Like,
Like I often say that for me,
like,
like the essence of role play is getting to the mindset of your character,
yeah,
and like hijacking your thought process by the thought process of your character, and your
yeah,
character would be a living person in this world, in the
mhm,
world of the setting, that has his own desire, his own goals, probably
mhm,
want to survive. You could have some character that value their life less. That can be but something in life as well.
yeah,
And yeah, so maybe you're gonna complete task, but you're often gonna do tasks. You go adventuring and stuff like that, or
yeah.
quest. Your goal is not to
It means
complete
the
the
same
quest.
thing.
You complete the quest to achieve a goal of the character. Maybe it's
Yeah.
getting a pay. Maybe it's getting renown. Maybe it's getting
Maybe it's just being an
famous.
adrenaline junkie. You
Maybe.
know,
Yeah.
maybe you're just really into doing that because there
Yeah.
are people in real life that are really into. There are war zone tourists that jump from
Yeah.
mercenary contract to mercenary contract. So, like, don't worry about that. Like, that's okay as long as you're consistent with the personality of the person, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, I hate the concept of alignment because it's put it. I feel like it's calling me an idiot. That's why I hate it.
You
You
must hate a
know,
lot of things then.
I do. You know, I can goof around and joke around and play the clown,
Hmm.
but when something is designed to tell me to be consistent,
Yeah.
like, I'll be consistent the way I want to be consistent, you know. But there are people that need that mechanic, right? That need that. These are the frameworks you're supposed to stay in.
But the people that needs it are the people that are gonna ignore it.
Yeah, where
It-
like I don't ignore it.
It's like we have this saying, say, locks are to keep honest people out.
Yeah,
The
well,
same
I know
thing,
that
like.
for I know that from experience.
Yeah.
uh,
But and so you hate alignment. I'm not the biggest fan of alignment, mostly like because I think they're poorly defined and stuff like that, and
well,
they're kind of like bankrupt philosophically.
it's not even that. I also hate it because it forces you to define a character before you know them.
Oh yeah, I get. Yeah.
Yeah, let me, like, if you said, if you're using the level system of Dungeons and Dragons or something stupid like that, and you said you had to choose an alignment by level 3.
Yeah.
Okay, I've spent some time from 0 to 3 knowing the character.
But also your alignment
Yeah,
can be something that is like fairly fluid, especially in the early level.
yeah,
Usually like any GM worth salt and say, you know what, I now that I'm playing the character, I think like I put this alignment. I think that doesn't fit quite well. I should. Would it be all right with
yeah.
you?
Yes. I think if you could choose to change your alignment gradually on the spectrum that
Hmm.
is available, that would make sense. Like, because assuming level 0 is like the beginning of any fantasy book you've ever read, some farm boy in a tavern, etc., etc. You know the kind of emotional and philosophical scarring you're going through.
Yeah.
uh, what the? There are 8-foot spiders in the world. Why did no one tell me there are 8-foot spiders in the world?
Yeah, that's also something that's often like poorly defined, like in the beginning, like what does your characters knows in the world.
Yeah,
Uh, that's also a reason why I like my world fairly more mundane. When there's
yeah,
like fantastical stuff that you don't know about, you don't know about it. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
You're not
are
gonna come across a monster and say, "Oh, okay, there was those monsters in the world." Yeah, your character didn't know either.
yeah, it's like maps in the old world where it would say there be dragons at the edge,
Yeah,
or like
you can take
people
it
that,
more or less seriously.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I yeah, I'm a big fan of Pendragon, and I know you never played it, but in
yeah,
Pendragon, one thing that I like a lot is they have like this system of virtue and and passion
hmm,
that you can you can call upon to get, and if you act according to one of virtue, one of your passions, can give you like a fairly significant mechanical advantage, and it fit with the type of game where you're supposed to play like those knights that are super emotional and get like carried over by the virtue. You don't play a stoic in that game. It's quite the opposite.
yeah.
But very passionate people, and that in a way define your character as well. But first it gives you like a mechanical incentive to role play in the way that your character is. And also I find it interesting in that sense because, well, you know where the it's not so vague as the alignment in the D20 system. And also I sometimes like you can fairly choose where your virtue and passion are. Some of them are inherited from your family, but then give you like an idea of who your character is before you begin. And now you kind of like, oh, okay, this is my character. And now you have those guidelines to role play it. So not only like
Yeah,
it's like rolling your stat in a way to say, okay, I'm playing something against somebody that like if you roll your stat randomly, and then you have this challenge to say, oh, okay, now like this is the character I'm gonna play. I'm gonna portray that. But now you have that with the personality as well. Would that something you'd be more all right with?
I think so. I'd have to try it. I'd have to try it. Like I said to you in our conversation before,
Mm-hmm.
that I'll sit down and try any game. I'll play anything. If I like the people at the table,
Yeah.
right, and the game is not literally preventing me from playing it, because there are games that will literally prevent you from playing it.
Are you talking about
Uh,
Pathfinder now?
well, I don't know. I've never played Pathfinder.
Really? For all the trash
Yeah.
that you talk about Pathfinder, you never played it.
The trash I talk about Pathfinder is because of the company,
Oh yeah,
right?
that's fair. That's okay.
Like
Yeah,
I don't care how good your game is if the employees that make it want to end
yeah,
politics, politics, politics.
yeah. We get it. Yeah,
uh,
yeah. They're a fucking woke company. We know that. Like people, they
yeah,
are woke. They were ahead of Watsy. Watsy now is doing like the damn best to overtake them into the wokeness. I
yeah.
think they
It's like
did, but it's like
you're
a race.
you're emulating the wrong parts of the
Yeah,
company.
exactly. Yeah. That,
Um,
or like Flame Zombie, or as you call him, Magic Wolf, saying weird frontier. Your alignment start at neutral and move one way to or the other each session depending on your action. That's also something I like. I think that's a good way to do it. What do you think
uh,
about that? Like you start like in the center, and depending on how you acted, it can shift as you play. So instead of
yeah,
like
but I think that that would be a good thing if it was automated. Like if you were feeding in.
sorry, I lost you a bit there.
Okay, I said yeah, you froze for a second. No,
Yeah, maybe.
um I was kind of pondering a thought anyway, so it doesn't matter. um that would be a good idea. If you had some sort of minder automating that, like I could see in the next 4 or 5 years there being a thing that you can put at your table that will like keep the notes for you and
Alexa, listen to my D&D campaign.
it goes down the path of requiring you to keep track of too much math. To, like in concept, that idea is good, but I could
I,
see it being like a 15-minute check every time you want to do that.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't make a check. Like I would like say, oh, you talk about Pathfinder. No, talking about the alignment thing there at the bottom. Like when
Yeah,
you each session you shift one way or the other. I think just at the end of the session, like at first you're all like neutral and everything. Maybe you have like some leaning one way or the other. But just at the end of the session, you go around the table. You say like, so do you think your action did it shift you in any way? And then say, yeah,
oh,
I've been like pretty evil in that session. And then you go
okay,
to the next
okay.
one. Yeah.
Okay, I could see
So
that.
so like it's more like descriptive of how you behave than like prescriptive of how you should behave.
Yes,
And then if you have like other like a mechanical interaction with the alignment, like a detect evil or whatever, well then
yes,
it came from, instead of just something that you randomly wrote on your sheet, it came from actually what you did during the campaign.
yeah. So if you're like bouncing back and forth on opposite sides of the spectrum, you would just say my character's bipolar.
Well, if you bounce back and forth from the spectrum, because if they're like shift on a scale, then
Yeah,
you would kind of end up in the middle. You know what I mean? But if you
yeah,
always like, if you bounce toward one side, then you would be shifted toward this side.
yeah.
So
Okay,
after
I
like
can see that.
after many session, you can look at that and say, you know what, my character is evil. My character is a pretty good guy.
Uh,
Yeah. And I like those kind of system. And you have like that's also something that I wouldn't say that. Like there's something kind of maybe similar, like at this phase at the end of session in Burning Wheel, but like they do it in a retarded way because it's Burning Wheel.
yeah, I looked at that book when James DM James from the
Yep,
James Gang. If none of you have whatever name dropping,
everybody knows. Everybody knows who James is.
yeah, he brought that book up maybe a year ago,
Yeah.
and I went to go look at the price of it. And it was like $80. I was like, nope, I'm
Oh,
out.
really?
Yeah, maybe that was just because it was on Amazon, right? But I could probably get it cheaper at a
Yeah,
local store or something.
you can buy it straight from their website, but again, be wary about like he's also kind of a woke case.
Oh, okay. In that
Yeah,
case,
Lucerne. But like I often say, like this is a game I really wanted to like. There's a lot of good idea, but I just think the execution is kind of poor.
yeah,
But anyway, and they do like this thing about like your character has to have like they call it bits: belief, instinct, and traits, and you choose like 3 of each, and it kind of
yeah.
inform also your role playing in a way. So I think those are good idea, but again, they
Now,
bind
now,
it in a mechanically manner that is like too binding, too crunchy.
when I say rules, because I'm always big on keeping the actual rules very light in a game. You're frozen again. Um, at least it's not an O face. You know,
Sorry.
I was just going on how it was a very fortunate frozen face this time. Okay. I was saying how I prefer rules to be light in a game, and I'm always like 15 pages. Are you done effed
Yep.
up? I don't know how much I can swear on your stream.
Oh,
Fucking butt
you can.
fuck.
I don't care.
uh, um, but like you said, the bits, right? And then you
Yep.
listed off those three things that I totally spaced on what they were. Um,
Belief, instinct, and traits.
belief, instincts, and traits.
Yeah, and
Okay.
belief could be like, oh, like all northern or savage, stuff
Yeah,
like that. And
yeah.
then if you role play that, you're gonna get some kind of reward.
Now,
Instinct or stuff like something you always do, like, oh, I'll always hide the dagger in my sleeve. So then you don't
yeah,
need to say to tell the GM that you do that because you have this instinct. I always check for traps before going through a door in dungeon. That's an instinct, so you don't have to
yeah.
say every time. And if the GM tried to screw you with that, you can say, nah, I did it.
This
It's in
this
my sheet and stuff like that.
Yeah. Now that bits would be a rule, in my opinion, like
Yeah.
in the rules. But the list of things you would select from, that wouldn't be rules, in my opinion. That would be flavor text. So you wouldn't count those diverted lists as rules, as far as I'm concerned. That's world building. right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I want to kind of clarify this because some people hear me say 15 pages or less and
Yeah.
then flip out because like, how are you going to get this 700-page book into to 15 pages? Well, Elf is a flavor text. It's
Yeah.
not a rule.
No,
You
I agree
cut
with that. And
all
yeah,
that away.
yeah, I agree with you. And you know, I'm writing my own game now, Winter Down, which is a
Yeah.
fairly crunchy game, but I
Yes.
could absolutely tell you the rules in 15 page.
Yeah, and
It
I
wouldn't
would love
be.
to see that document. I'd love to see that document as a separate, you
Yeah,
know,
I'm planning on do that because every time I finish section, I'm trying to do like in 2 or 3 page resume of all, like, just the rules, no example, straight to the point. Because
yeah,
a lot of time what takes place in the rules is those example, is you explain the rules, but then you have to explain all the, you know, you have to kind of pad it so the rules lawyer cannot abuse it and stuff like that. You know, like the
hmm
rules say
hmm
like, oh, you need to do this and it does that. But then you have to say,
yeah,
but in the case of this, and then if, like, you know, like, there's all like those if thing for and oftentimes there's a lot of
assholes.
repetition. There's oftentimes
Yeah,
a lot of repetition because like people like because people are, yeah, are asshole basically. A lot of max and stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
um, like, yeah. The reason, like, I think this is where um Watsy is really, really fucked up. And you start to see this back with the TSR days and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Is you had your rule system, your 15 pages or whatever, right? Like that's a
Yeah.
generic number I throw out. It could be 20, it could be 10, you have your rules, and then you fit your world on top of that. And that's not what Watsy did when they bought uh D&D. They took the world and shoved a new rule system into it and then started bloating the world up with all kinds of crap
Yeah.
that just genericized it into absolute garbage. Um not that the Forgotten Realms was already kind of eh,
When you add too much, you know, if you
yeah,
put like every spice you got in your pot, every time you cook something, everything is gonna taste the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
and not pleasant.
And not pleasant. Yeah. Yeah.
um like I think writing novels about your world and having that material out there, there's a reason why the three largest and well-known properties in this end of the hobby, which is role-playing games and war games. I consider
Hmm.
this the same end of the hobby of like fantasy and science fiction. The three biggest ones are Warhammer, 40K, specifically 40K,
Yeah, specifically for this game.
Dungeons and Dragons, and
Hmm.
BattleTech. The three most well-known properties are that, then Warhammer Fantasy. And it's because they're the most heavily novelized and storied universes that you can go into and know what the world is at that period and location.
And even Dungeon Dragon, it's not like Dungeon Dragon's not a monolith. It was like Dragonlance. It was Forgotten
Yeah.
Realms. Like that's where the
Well,
novel, like, was a fucking Dritz novel,
well,
and like,
when I say Dungeons and Dragons story, I mean Forgotten Realms,
yeah.
because that's what
But
people think of when they think Dungeons and
it
Dragons. Most,
started with Dragonlance
yeah,
originally, but then
but
the Dritz books took over.
how many Dragonlance novels are there?
I don't know. I don't.
Like
I don't read that
four?
shit.
Like,
I don't read books.
oh, books they come on tape, right?
It's for nerds.
Fucking nerds. I'm a decent geek. Wait, is that the pecking order? I can't remember. Mm, but no.
But you see that as a good thing because always like for me, it's always like I'm always a bit wary about those like world that have been novelized a lot because it's like is the story of this world has already been told. You know what I mean? I'm a big fan of Dune, the first book only, the rest is trash. But I'm a big fan
I
of Dune, but I wouldn't want
agree
to
with
play
you.
in the Dune world. What?
I sort of agree with you,
Uh,
but I think the story could have been better. Like the expanded. I like in concept if the writing isn't fully up to snuff, the stuff his son has done,
yeah,
because it opens up a portion of the world that was too vague to explore in game, but also leaves enough cracks. The problem with the Forgotten Realms is there is not enough space between the events to play in. There
yeah.
used to be, maybe around 2000, 2010, there was still enough space between the events to play in. There isn't anymore, right?
Eh, especially like when they make the event like too big, you know, when they make like those big epic war, and every fucking author
Yeah.
is want to do that. They want to make the character like, oh, he's the chosen one. He's like, oh, he's gonna change the paradigm of the world. Like, then you just fucking killed your world for play purposes. You can play in Hyperborea because Conan is just a dude. It's a
Yeah.
dude you can meet. It's a dude that do stuff in the world, but he doesn't change the world.
Yeah. Maybe he's got a legend to him, but that's about
Yeah.
it. Like,
And most people that he meet don't know who he is. You know, he's
yeah.
just like this dude. You know, he's not like world famous necessarily. Like he does impact the people that he meets, but he's not necessarily like
Well,
world famous.
even
In the Howard stuff, like I don't know, like what the other author after that, like they probably like fucking make trash out of it because
oh,
like
they did. Like,
yeah,
I that's just a common thing. They just genericized it too much. They
yeah,
didn't.
exactly.
Well,
They don't get what was important and what was good of him. But
they took out, like, I think, because I never really read that stuff, but you hear people talk about it, and they're like, they took out the sex, they took out the violence, they took out the slavery. It's like,
mm.
what's the point of the world if you take out the pillars of it?
And
You know,
they make him like too important, too big,
I,
to
I
take too much
like I
place in the
told you, I
world.
never read any of those books, but I've
Mm.
those are the complaints I've heard about them.
Yeah.
Um, but oh, I had an idea. Like the Wheel of Time. You've never read that? You said
No.
no. It does carry on. But you know the premise of the story, though, right?
Yeah.
He's the big myth, and he changes the world and all that. That's okay if you're fucking Bill, the guy living in the new world after those events.
Yeah. If
Like,
it's far in the past, that's
well,
okay.
even if it's like 20 years ago, and he's the king in the fucking castle you're never going to go to, you know what I mean? Like, the person could still be in the world, just you should never interact with that person ever,
Mm.
right? The closest you should ever get to is, was that famous actor? you know like,
Yeah.
you know
But in a sense also, so it means like you're always gonna be like in the shadow of this character to an extent, like unless you wanna
but
completely retcon the narrative like to fit what the player does.
um
Like it's do you want to preserve the fiction of the world, or can the player change it? You know, are you gonna in a
i'm
parallel
i'm
universe?
I'm of the opinion that if you're playing to be the biggest, most ultimate powerful thing in all existence, you've already fucked up.
Yeah, but also like he also fucked up if the most interesting thing going on in the world is not like what the character are doing. You know what I mean? Like
Well, to
and
to your
to,
party.
to your party exactly.
Yeah, but like,
To your player, I would say even like it goes to the player. If the player like if what the like, you know, oh, we're just like, oh, there's this big epic war going on, but we're
Well,
just there like,
but,
like
like
shoveling dung,
that
like
that's not what I'm saying. I'm
yeah.
saying,
No, but
like,
I agree with what
so
you're saying.
in the Wheel of Time, the events have happened, right? The
Yeah,
war is over at the end of the book.
yeah,
You're dealing with the aftermath of that.
yeah.
The little rebel cultists trying to bring back
But
the Dark Lord or whatever.
the Wheel of Time is also like a
A
chosen
cat,
one crappy story,
yeah, it's a cataclysm story, right? It's like
Yeah, that
avoid
sucks.
apocalypse, but they survive at the end, right? So what happens next? That's the space between the events. What happens next? Who's the
After they
next?
survive,
Yeah, well,
yeah, it was the next cycle. Yeah, I can see
yeah,
that.
yeah. What
Yeah.
happens next?
But
Your
you
your
have to move it
people
somewhere else.
working.
That's the thing. You have to move it
Yeah,
somewhere else. Like move it far away to get
yeah,
room to breathe. To so you're not in the shadow anymore. I think that's important.
yeah.
You want to tell a new story in that world. That's fair, but don't make it a side story. Like nobody want to fucking play a side
No, you
story.
don't use any of those same
Yeah.
characters. You don't use any of those people. Some of those locations might pop up, but they're changed from the events of the past.
Yeah.
Um,
Let me check at the chat because we have been
yeah,
ignoring it and Him Zombie Shauner Jr. No offense. Oh wait, give me a second. Somebody's calling me. All rude. Fuck's sake.
yeah. I might have to pop out around 5 and be back in a
Oh,
minute or two. Like, not at
okay,
the end of the conversation. I'll just like have to leave the room for a second and
okay.
come back.
Uh, Flame Zombie say this remind me to make a video how to run Shadowrun 5e. You should because I heard like bad thing about that system. So it'd be interesting if you like it to have your take. Have you ever heard about it?
The Shadowrun. I've heard of
5e
Shadowrun.
specifically. 5e.
No, no.
No.
Um,
There
I,
were
I I know the world is exactly what our blue-haired, pink-haired friends want the world to be like.
yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of puts me off.
Flame Zombie said there were absolutely in agreement. What's the only good we did with D&D has been their own setting. As much as people dislike Eberron, it was unique. I fucking hate Eberron, but we can talk about that,
Yeah,
Tyler, on Thursday in Dice and Design, as we're going to talk
yeah.
about low fantasy versus high fantasy. Do you have any take, Justin, about those
Uh,
Eberron kind of setting or high fantasy kind of setting in
I've only
general?
ever heard the name Eberron. I've never looked
Uh,
into it. Well,
that's the war like where magic is everywhere, and they have the
oh,
war forge, kind of like a mechanical man existing.
okay. I've heard of
Yeah.
those.
Yeah. Like BattleTech
Yeah,
is that well known outside wargaming circle. The novel are pretty old. I would tend to agree. Outside of wargaming circle, yes, because they also like a lot of video game with MechWarrior and stuff like that.
and BattleTech is still writing novels.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
apparently now they're going woke as well.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. They fired the one guy for
yeah,
writing. Liberals took over the
yeah.
U.S.
And they won't
novel.
explore new stuff even with Ravnica. That's based on MTG. They already wrote, yeah.
Mm,
Oh yeah, and when we say like, oh, you set in the world, and oh, you meet those characters like Soy Jack go, oh, I know him. Oh, I'm gonna
yeah,
cool. I'm meeting this character I'm a fan of.
Y- y- you never meet them. You never meet them. You
yeah.
might see them out of the corner of your eye, but you never meet them. You never talk to them. You never do anything with them.
All right, yeah, I would, yeah, like that's why I say like don't even like be in the same time period as them. That's my issue with Dark Sun. The meta plot solved the major crisis. So what do the PC do?
Yeah. Well,
Are you familiar with Dark Sun?
um yeah, Shadow was just talking about it over on his show all last week. And
Mm-hmm.
he was ripping apart every book. And I was trying to get through to him. No, don't do that. Don't solve the problem. That game, that game screams to me domain play from level 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I'm not very
because
familiar with it, but it seemed to me like the
uh,
problem like there's been the cataclysm and stuff like that, and now you're in the aftermath of that. Isn't that
yeah,
right?
like uh from what I understand, the world was torn apart by magic or
Yeah,
something like that, and like some types of magic drain life from the world, and other types bring it back. But
preserve it. Yeah,
yeah,
That's
But
facts.
and the world's mostly a desert because of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like I was telling him, no, the first thing, like as a bunch of escaped slaves, the first thing you want to do is find a place nobody's at and dig a hole and build a base. And then and then your party should be trying to survive, build up, and fighting raiders coming to you. You should
But
not be
that's the
going
thing.
to things.
Now that's a wall
They
that
should,
gives you motivation from the get go. We are talking about that earlier. Now you get
mm,
motivation from the get go, but you say, oh, the first thing you want to do is build a base, but
yeah,
that might
it's
not be. It's easier said than done. So the first thing you
yeah,
want to do is get the resource to build the base. So now, how do you get the resource to build a base? You go adventuring.
yeah,
So in a way, it does solve an issue of like why would you do that? Because the world is so harsh.
yeah.
You have to survive. It's hard to survive. You have to get strong. You have to get some resource. You have to do some unsavory stuff. Sorry,
Mm.
but
Yeah, and the world is unsavory stuff, so you're not going to get people coming after you for generic murder.
yeah,
um, but yeah, and then maybe you're large enough eventually. Eventually, you're such a safe place in the world for people to come to that you start developing community beyond your party,
mm-hmm.
and then you become a city state to rival one of the other ones, and then with that power you try and solve the meta plot of the universe,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah.
Or
There's thing that I
the
find
game's ended
appealing in
before that.
Dark Sun in that sense. I find because it's a much more like a sword and sorcery kind of vibe, which I like. I
Yeah,
just think they went too goofy with the Tri Queen and the cannibalistic halfling don't bother me as much. It's a bit weird, but
yeah,
and that they didn't want far enough with the magic, which said like the oh yeah, but no, you also like the preserver, so you can still play a mage. I say no, fuck it, man, go all
yeah.
in.
Well, I think maybe your party, like if you do it the way I suggest,
Yep.
which is the opposite of being the adrenaline junkie uh cave diver that you should be in Forgotten Realms,
Mm-hmm.
or the name has just escaped me, the original one,
Dragonlance.
Dragonlance. And I'm looking right at a box for a silver dragon too. Oh, whatever. um you should be playing those in those games, right? But if you play Dark Sun like I suggest, maybe if when most of your parties are around level 6 or level 7 and somebody dies because people die and you're not fucking pussies, maybe that person is allowed to create a preserver.
Mm.
But when you start off, like I say, when you start off, everybody should be taking the same generic class of player. So everyone's first character is an escaped slave. You can pick something else from the list when your character legitimately dies.
Hmm.
That's how I would play that, and that's how I would play most games if I was the game master. The party's going to start off. You're all uh, guards from the city of whatever. Here are your mostly filled out character sheets. When you need to replace somebody in the party, you can go through the list and select what you want.
Have you ever like done a funnel like from DCC?
Um,
You know what they are?
yes, I was
Yeah.
talking about doing one with Hungar, but we never got
Oh,
around to that because we were
I think
looking
that's
at that book.
the best contribution to the hobby that DCC did.
Was the funnel?
Yeah, I'll say
Yeah,
that. I don't hate DCC. I don't think it's amazing as either, but I think this part is great.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. Like Connor and I are streaming in a few hours for Flame Zombie.
Are you really?
I'll try to watch. Yeah, they often stream. They actually work very good together. I really like their stream they do together. So
Okay.
I'll watch that. Yeah.
Oh,
Flame Zombie say Blue Airs want the world to be run by corporation, regardless to what you were saying about Shadowrun. And yes, they
yeah,
do. They
yeah.
absolutely do. they, they want corporation to run the world, but just like the corporation that are on their side. You see that
Yeah,
with the Wotzi, you see that with Paizo. They hate the independent, they hate the small stuff because they're not under control. They're all about control.
yeah,
So
and they love playing at not liking that control,
yeah,
right? Like it would be really funny if you were game mastering a game of Shadowrun and there was a party doing their best to tear down a corporation or something, and then at the end of the game, once they've done it, you have an NPC that's the CEO of that corporation come out and say, "Thank you for taking out the far right extremist elements of our corporation. Here's your paycheck."
yeah. Then again, we get into like politics into game and stuff like that, and now like we can talk about that a little later on if you want.
but
Yeah, I think
the
that would be interesting. Let's keep that for a
uh,
little later, maybe
but
after 5.
oh,
Yeah, but that's the thing, like those blue air like fucking progressive thing, like all they have to do, all the big corporation has to do is like say trends right, and then they're all gonna be like on board with them. Like look how
yeah,
they all back to Pfizer and they all back Apple and they all back all those fucking Netflix and all that shit. All those companies have to do is like pay lip
yeah.
service to their fucking stupid shit. And yeah. Greg
Oh,
Stiller replied to a Flame Zombie. I hear that's more so with the revised edition of Dark Sun. In the original box set, as listing completely defined, which is what most people recommended.
yeah,
And like I said, it's like I always like been kept away from Dark Sun because I thought like they went too half measure. They kind of want, oh, we want to do like the sword and story thing. Oh, but we're gonna keep some of the super fantastical stuff. I say, well,
yeah. But it's
I don't like
also
people being sat between two chairs.
from what I understand in Dark Sun, because the closest I ever got to playing that game was Firebolt, the
Mm-hmm.
card game, the D&D card game.
Spellfire.
Spellfire, that's the one.
Yeah,
Spellfire.
yeah,
That's
that
the
was a good
closest.
game.
I had a pretty good Dark Sun deck in
Oh yeah.
Spellfire. But oh, I lost my point going on that tangent.
That's the closest thing you went to Dark Sun, you said.
Before that, I was thinking, um, the magic in that world is fickle, right? From what I understand, it's easy to lose for the most part. Like the magic items are
Yeah.
fragile, they break quick, so you might
Mm-hmm.
get a thing of magic, but it could be gone the first time you use it. From what I understand, if I'm wrong, let me know. But that's how I would play it off, even if
Yeah.
it's not that way in the book.
No, I think that's how it should be as well. But like I don't know, like I
Yeah,
said, not the most familiar. Flame Zombie say we should talk about Dark Sun when we talk about fantasy on Thursday. We can if you have something to say, but
yeah.
like I'm not the most versed in it. So
I'd be okay if he wanted to jump
yeah.
in. Like I don't
You want to
care.
jump in, Tyler? Well, we have the stream on Thursday. We don't. I want to to
Exhaustive.
exhaust all the topic. Greyhawk. I think Greyhawk was like seemed to be a decent setting because he was much more toned down. I
Yeah.
think D&D should have stayed with Greyhawk, and then like if you as default setting, and if you add like crazy stuff, do your own setting on the side. What do you think?
You've never read any of the Sword of Truth books, have you?
The Sword of Truth? No, I told
No.
you I don't read books.
Yeah, you're
I only read like Start and Camus and stuff like that. That's the books I read.
okay. So like, there's high magic in the Sword of Truth,
Mm-hmm.
but it's at
Oh,
the
that's
poor.
good kin, no?
Yeah, good kind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, people give him a hard time because he puts his politics into the book, but it's not done. Like, there are some rants that one of the characters will go on, but it, I'd rather that than the stuff we get from the other side. Um, but the magic system is like, I guess I could equate it to carpentry, where it's like, here's how you add something to something, here's how you subtract something from something, like where to glue and where to cut. But through magic, right? So like
Yeah.
the wizard character in the story does exactly what you're doing right now with your hand, right? Yeah, and his cleanly shaved face
Oh,
grows
that's
a
good.
beard,
Oh, okay, that's good
right?
then.
So he grows a beard because he has the power of additive magic,
Hmm.
right? And he doesn't have subtractive. So the main character says, "Okay, now make the beard go away." And he says, "Fine, hand me your razor," because he can't remove it with magic, right? It's
Hmm.
a hard limitation, and it's learning how to do that with the powers. Um, but like everyone is supposed to have the touch, the ability to interact with magic, but if you don't have enough of it, you're just never going to learn it. And so it limits it that way.
So, and is that like from birth? Something you get from birth?
Yes,
I
like,
hate it.
well, yes and no, because if you're never taught, you never learn.
Hmm.
And even if you're like really powerful enough to possibly self-teach yourself, you'll kill yourself in the process.
But there are people that can never be taught.
Most people, like 99% of the people, are so remotely touched by magic that they'll never learn anything no matter how much. Now, there was like a war in the past that created a spell to protect people from like the people who could take over your mind, and that created people that were profoundly untouched, right? Like, they couldn't even see magic. You could throw a fireball at them, and it
Yeah.
would just pass right through them.
Oh, really?
And that's my phone call telling me I need to step away for a minute.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be right back.
I'll check the chat while you do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So apparently we struck a sensitive topic with the with the Shadowrun. Oh, wait, we should talk about Dark Sun. I put that one already. With the Shadowrun thing here, like Flame Zombie say, sure, but seriously, is every corporation the one they like or the one they don't like? They don't need to worry about ESG because they have corporate sovereignty, toe their line or die. Yeah, but and you see that as well, like like they hate Elon Musk because Elon Musk is not super woke. He's not like super right wing either. Yeah, but it be just because he doesn't toe the line and he doesn't like promote their lies, then suddenly they hate the guy that make the most electric car. I used to make the most electric car. I think no, Toyota makes more than him. But, it's just a game of politics. It's just a game of like, but those people, like those blue air people, they don't have principle. They don't have like individuality. They're just program automaton. They're useful idiot for the people in power. And now that the people in power control the corporations and stuff like that, well, they use, and those blue air, they think they hate the corporation, but they do all the bidding of the corporation. It'd be the same thing in the world of Shadowrun. If you were Shadowrun, it's not like that. You give way too more credence to the common people. Common people are idiots, or NPC that are programmable by the people controlling the media, by the people like controlling those big corporations, which are like the same people, which I'm not gonna go too far into, but they're just useful idiots. And when they're not useful anymore, then just idiots. And they're never gonna stop being idiots. The blue airs will work for the cops they like and fight against the one they don't like. The intention is to work as free agent or even for the government. But it's the people in power that tell them which corporation they like and which they don't. So there you go. That's how the cookie crumble. Yeah. Dark Sun is about psionics and no metal. Yeah, no metal is also something like I said. Okay, be interesting now. Metal will become important, stuff like that. Uh, like I'm not a big fan of that because like I don't want to necessarily like, go like all the way Stone Age, or if we do, let's do it for real. But it's an interesting spin nonetheless, even though if it's not to my taste. You can only really use magic if there's plant matter nearby. Yeah, that's in Dark Sun as well. Yeah, yeah. Psionics are randomly determined at game start. You can't pick them, I don't think. But you know that people like always like homebrew that. That's but I'm gonna play Psionics. Okay, I'll let you. You know, people are weak. Greyhawk and Blackmore were first, then Realms, then Dragonlance for the big four. Or was the Realms before Dragonlance? I thought the Dragonlance was before the Realms, but I might be wrong on that. I'm just like talking on top of my head there. Yeah. I was gonna say that L. That's right. Dragonlance was fairly late, actually. Oh, I always felt. I always thought that Dragonlance was before, but the novel of Dragonlance were before the novel from Forbidden. No. Oh, hello, Charlotte. Nice seeing you. Been a while, no? Yeah. Oh, like a language, learn it by 7 or lose it. You can learn language late in life.
Sorry I took so long.
Yeah, exactly. And Bezos, the Whole Foods CEO, etc. SR SR. What's SR? Makes fun of those. Oh, Shadowrun. Okay, when you say SR, it means Shadowrun. Shadowrun
Yeah.
make fun of those and modify their bodies until the corpse on them. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if I'm not missing the point, that's what they do in real life, though.
Yeah.
They modify their bodies until the corporations own them.
Yeah. Well, they modify their body because they have no personality, and they try to mimic a personality by making their body different. That's what's happening. If you want my take on the body modification trend. Yeah. Charlotte said Greyhawk is underrated. I think most people had trouble grasping lower magic setting. Now that Game of Thrones has shown people how it can work and collapse, I think Greyhawk could make a comeback.
Well,
Maybe. Like
yes.
I fucking love Game of Thrones, the first few books or the first few season until like it did
You
become like
know,
fucking stupid.
Brienne of Tarth, the
Yeah.
big chick.
Yeah.
She was actually one of my favorite characters in the books.
Oh really? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
in the books. Yeah.
in the books.
Yeah.
Um, just a person trying to do. It wasn't played off as girl power.
Mm-hmm.
It was played off as tomboy doing something.
Yeah.
But with more emotional uh, complications, not
Is
angst. Wasn't
is the
angst. I want to
is
get
the is
that clear.
the is the Game of Thrones show secretly based? Because they show
It-
that every time like a woman tries to take powers, it fails miserably. It become a disaster.
oh,
They say, oh, it is full of like a woman in position of power. Yeah, and they all
yeah,
suck and they all like fucking destroy everything.
yeah, for stupid and petty reasons.
Exactly, for a reason like, oh, because like you wrong me and my lover don't love me anymore. Like
I don't know. I could never really get past the third season.
that's the right point to start. 4 and 5 were still watchable, but like the first 3 were
Yeah.
good, and then like yeah.
When I realized I'm only watching this show for boobs, I tapped
Oh yeah.
out.
Well, that's one thing that bothers me. Like I was just rewatching Rome,
Yeah,
uh, the show, and like I remember like liking a lot. I still liked it, but it's a bit
yeah.
too sleazy for my taste nowadays.
I
There's too
think I
much.
think
I'm getting
that was
old.
the
I'm getting
point,
grumpy.
though.
Yeah.
That was the point of that show. It was supposed to show the debauchery that was
Yeah,
filtering
but
into
I think
society.
it was a little too graphic for no good
Yeah,
reason, other like than drawing the moron crowd.
yeah.
The Dragonlance novel came first, and there was an RPG release at the tail end of the first edition. Well, that now that people like chronology, it doesn't really matter to be honest. Because
Yeah.
Dragonlance
Chronology
Forgotten Realms
is
came from
chronology only matters if the writer has drastically improved their skill.
yeah. There was a
Yeah.
thing. There was a thing you were saying to me offline, and I wanted to do with you online if you up for it, if you don't mind.
I don't have two different faces, so anything I said offline is good online.
All right, you were making like this idea of like when you're trying to explain role play to somebody that doesn't know what it is,
Oh,
right? About
the stone
you
room.
wake up with, yeah, you wake up in amnesia, in a
Yeah,
stone room.
I was going to do this as a video, but I keep putting it off, so we might as well do it here.
Yeah, do it here.
Yeah. So this is normally what I do when I tell people I'm in role playing game into role playing games or have been in the past, and they're like, "What's that about?" And it's like I run them through this scenario. So if people are wondering why it's very laxed, this is why. And we'll do it right now.
Yeah.
You're the player.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter your name. Doesn't matter any of those details. You are a person who has amnesia, and you've woken up in a room that is strange to you. The only details you see are stone walls, a stone floor. It is not polished, it's rough. There's a ceiling. It's maybe wood or stone, it doesn't matter. And there's a door at the far end. It is wood, banded iron. There's a doorknob. What do you do?
I would sit up on the slab that I just woke up on, and I take a good look around. I look from where the lights come from.
Yes, there is light. There's a small hole with light coming through it from the ceiling. It's not got anything you can reach a finger into or anything like that. It's small, maybe grated. There's nothing there that you can get through.
I let my eye adjust, and I try to see if I can see any motion, any disruption that would suggest motion through the light.
Maybe it's a fire, light generated by fire, but that's about all the motion you could see.
I get up, and I'll go put my ear against the door.
There's maybe some dripping from like a pipe or something. Maybe you can hear somebody at the far end of a hallway, but it could just be wind or another cell.
I tug gently on the doorknob to see if the door is locked or not.
Okay. Now, if I had a dice with me, I'd roll it and go through a 1, it's open, a 6, it's locked or trapped.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say a 1, it's open.
I pull the door, just a little crack, just a little bit ajar, and I look outside.
Yeah. Now, here's where I'd end the scenario because you're role playing, right? Like that's all I need to know. You've role played. You
All right,
haven't
thank
asked
you.
me once, what
Thank you
do I
very much.
do? What can I do? What can I do? And like, if it's a new person,
Mm-hmm.
then they ask, well, what can I do? I would correct them and give them some of the examples you demonstrated on your own.
Yeah.
Because you can correct that behavior early. You can correct it later. It's just more likely the person will go back into what Shauner would say, "Mother, may I?"
Yeah.
Um,
No, I think that's a good idea of scenario
yes,
because it takes away all the distraction. And
Shauner will make this into a 2-hour
yeah,
2-hour video.
I'll be curious to see what he has to say about that.
And the most he would ever talk about is the swirly pattern from
But no, like I said, you take out all the distraction. If you have a new person that is new to roleplay, and you can say, and then right away you can nip in the bud, and they don't have to think about a character, they don't have to think about a setting, they don't have to think about anything like that. You just say like, okay,
yeah,
there you go. You made your way out of the room, and now you
yeah,
figured it out. So it took
yeah.
what, 5 minutes? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a very simple training technique, you
Mm-hmm.
know. But the and there's like Connor said, there's no dice roll on your end, right? That one dice
Yep.
roll would have been on the game master's end to determine whether the door is locked or not.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a skill for disarm, trap, or whatever, and the options on the whatever scale, right? Because you could adjust that scale from a D4 to a D100.
Yep.
I don't know why you would come up with 100 options, but it could be like within this bracket it's a yes, within this bracket it's a no, but you would then insert that there if you're in a world that for some reason traps doors like fucking retards.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's like one of the most stupid things I see in role-playing games is you turn the doorknob, magic blows you up.
well, there would be some reason to trap a door, but
Yeah,
not in that context. Like oftentimes,
yeah,
like it's used in and oftentimes like it'd be like trap, like trip, like to alert, to sound alarm and
yeah.
stuff like that. But yeah,
But you know what I'm talking about.
yeah,
You
I know what
know,
you're talking about. Yeah, a lot of like the trope that we see in dungeoneering and stuff like that. If you stop and think about it for 2 minutes, they don't make sense and break the
yeah.
verisimilitude of the world.
There
Yeah.
are three things a door can do:
Hmm.
open, not open, or set off an alarm.
Yeah. And
And the
there could
first
have been a
two
role on
are
the player
90%
side as
of the time.
well.
Yeah.
Sorry? If I can tug on the door and say it doesn't open, and I say like, well, I try to
Yes,
tug
but
hard, then you make a roll for your strength or whatever.
yeah, but those don't come up until
Mm.
the game master says,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But I gave you the open door, so
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
And I think a lot of like that thing that you say like people like come on with the wrong idea. I think a lot of it's come from the video game where
yeah.
there's you always have a button to press. You're always limited in your option that you can do.
Hmm.
And even a lot of new players that we see, because people say like, oh, I think the majority of those actual play are newer gamers that don't know any better. Most of us gamer home games are probably much better than I hope so as well, because oftentimes also like I see like those actual play, and or maybe it's always like being on the outside. That could be it
Yeah.
as well.
Well,
But
even like I take this because you're a veteran of gaming, and you've been immersed into
mhm,
what I would call bad setup. The first thing you did was look to the light, and that's why I pushed you away from that,
mhm.
because in real life, the first thing you're going to check is the door.
I I don't know, but well, to be honest, the first thing I do is look to the light, because I don't like describe any type of light.
Yeah,
And
like
I like light always. There's always a light source,
yes,
and the light source, I think that's something that's often overlooked in the GM description, because the light source is going to inform you. If it was like a light bulb with a cage around it, it would have told me something. If it was just a regular light bulb, it would have told me something. If there was a window or like a window in the door, it would have told me something.
yes.
The first thing I did was look at the light. I was actually trying to have more information about the room.
Okay. In that
That's
case, yeah.
yeah.
Like I was feeling like you were looking for like something hidden.
No. It's because you
Yeah.
say like the first thing you had done is go to the door, but no, because
Mhm.
actually the first thing you do if you wake up in a strange room is to try to figure out where you're at and the context you're in. So, but that's not really
Yeah.
an action. You just like sit around, you look around, and just by doing that, you take a lot of information, and that's what I was
Okay.
probing for information, but I didn't want to ask where's the light
Yes.
come from. So
Okay.
that's
In
why I
that
mentioned
case,
it in the way I
yes,
did.
yes. It's just normally, I guess, because I've only done this scenario with people that have never played role playing games. They
Mhm.
never ask about the fucking light, man.
Yeah. Well, when you do the scenario, just tell them where the light comes from next time.
Okay, no, no, I'm gonna leave it out deliberately now. So sometimes I put a table in the room.
Oh yeah,
but
yeah. But it's something like I find it's something that you gain so much information from that
yeah,
is often so much overlooked. But light is a big part of it's how it's how we see and it's how we interact with the world in that because we're
yeah.
very visual creature. Yeah.
Visual. I prefer being a very tactile person, especially when it comes to boobs.
Well, yeah, but you see them before you can touch them usually, unless you're in a
Yeah.
dark room where you have to rely on your other sense.
I had to get that in there just because you were bad mouthing Rome earlier for being perverted.
Well, I'm a bit of a, I, I'm a bit of a prude.
I can be too, but I
Yeah,
like the fun of it too much.
yeah, and like yeah, I was saying like so in video game there's like this thing where like the players always have an option to some button to press. So now
Yeah.
they train that, but even like a lot of new player now that we see came from the critical role.
Oh, yeah,
Came
yeah.
from critical role as well.
I
We
could
might
never
want to see.
watch that. Like
You tried?
I I I put a channel blocker extension on my browser, and about 2/3 are just Critical Role clip channels.
Yeah,
And the other
and like
ones are
oh
like,
animated clip and yeah.
and the other ones are like, this is in some other language. I don't want to say French. I don't want to be too mean. No, most of them are like Pakistani or Indian or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't even think it's the game. The party is just too big for me. There's just too many people at that table for me to
Oh
feel
really?
like anything is being accomplished.
I think as a show, I can see like how it can be entertaining. You kind of have to like,
Yeah.
but one thing that really bothers me, Matt Mercer is known for you know what Matt Mercer's catchphrase is that is known for?
Something like let's see, or
You can certainly try.
you can certainly try.
You can
Yeah.
certainly try. What is
Yeah.
that? What is an answer to?
Mother
If
may
not,
I.
mother may I question exactly.
Yeah.
Like the
I
catchphrase of
I
Matt Mercer is a reply to, but in a sense,
I
like
guess
is
it
the
could
player asking
be.
them like, "Can I do this?" And they say, "Well, you can try," and it would kind of like
It,
be pushing the player to say, "Well, okay, I try to do this." So
yeah.
it'd be like kind of fair answer, but he should have trained his
It's
player
a
by
passive
then.
aggressive. You should have
Yeah,
done the room. You should have done the
he should have done the
amnesiac
room
with the
exactly.
room with the room.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but but by then he should have told his player like, "Stop asking me. I'm always, and the player should have been smart enough to understand. But now it became a catchphrase, so there's this
Yeah.
catch 22. But the player should have been smart enough to understand like every time you ask him, "Can I do this?" he's gonna say, "You can try." So just
Yeah.
stop, just skip the fucking "Can I do this?" and say, "Can I
Yeah.
try this?"
A more accurate response to that,
Yeah,
a less passive aggressive one would be, "Why are you asking me?"
yeah.
That's what his catchphrase should be. Why are you asking me?
But even if you want to say
Yeah.
that, you can try. Then after the session, I would have taken my players say like, you know what? I'm always gonna say you can try. If you want to know if you can do something, it's like in real life. Can I lift this truck over there? Well, you can try to guess, but you're always gonna know if you try.
Yeah. There are people who have lifted trucks.
Yeah,
So, you know, there's a truck, there's you.
yeah,
I don't know. But yeah, it's the culture, right? Is we're entering this world with the digital, like you talking video games
yeah,
and role playing, and you get all these people that are complaining about the way Baldur's Gate 3 is. And it's like, yeah, you can trick the game into having an owl bear love sequence, but you got to trick the game into it. You got
yeah,
all these pink hairs laughing gleefully that it's there. It's like, whatever, man. thing that people are complaining about is that you actually got to play third edition to play that game.
You gotta
You
play
get
third
these
edition to play that game.
are,
It's fifth
are
edition.
fifth edition. Sorry,
Yeah.
the tongue. You actually
Yeah.
got to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
actually got to play fifth edition to play
Yeah.
that game.
Like was it like who was it? Oh, it was Crafty saying like, oh, it's like Baldur's Gate 3 is the first time that fifth edition player play fifth edition by the rules and they fucking hate it. Yeah.
Which
For me,
is,
like
is
for me, it's
funny.
the right thing I could fucking stand. You know,
Yeah,
like all like those like scenario and stuff like that. Like it's not for me.
I'm fairly famous for telling the story of my Shadowpunk game, or
Mhm.
Shadowpunk, Cyberpunk,
Shadowrun, Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk.
You mix between both.
Yeah. What is Shadowrun but Cyberpunk with furry crap and goblins?
Yep.
Um,
Cyberpunk with elves.
yeah. Cyberpunk, where the game master had the story, but we all just decided to hang out at the bar for the several months the game was going on, and then the bar ended up like we owned the bar at the beginning of the game,
Mm-hmm.
and the bar ended up getting eminent domained by some company and turned into like a 7-Eleven or a Taco Bell or something like that. That's how the game ended, because we didn't do the stuff, but we were all having fun, right? It's the important thing is to, like, the fun comes from the things you're doing and choosing, and the consequences may come,
Yeah.
right?
For me, the fun come from the immersion. Like
Yeah, well,
it's
we
like the
were
reward of the. Yeah,
we
But yeah,
we
and I could see that. You know, if you went, it's like a cyberpunk. It's always in Philadelphia.
we were playing the guy who owned the bar, the band who played at the bar, and a tech guy that operated equipment at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
So we were at the bar. And
And
then
what were you doing?
eventually our
What
bar,
were you doing during a session? Were you just
like,
like talking and like talking if you were actually people at the bar?
that, and like occasionally having to deal with like someone trying to collect protection, or you know um
So you still had some action
we still had some action, but there wasn't
and
like
drama.
and drama, like what you should have. If you're
Yeah,
not having drama in a role-playing game, you're not playing a role-playing game.
I agree with that.
um
That's why I was going.
but we had drama, we had action, just
Hmm.
not the intended drama or the intended action.
Yeah.
But because, like, I say this to Shadow and uh Omanal and people like that, because I'm usually on his Saturday show.
Yeah.
um the best thing you could do as a game master is have a calendar. Go to the fucking dollar store, buy that
Yeah.
cheap ass calendar,
I agree
and
with that.
write down some events, right?
Mm.
You don't
Yeah,
worry
and
about the date at the
if
top.
something's gonna happen in 3 weeks, it's gonna happen in 3 weeks.
Yeah,
And if you just fuck around for a whole day and then go rest, then a day is gone.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So the game master had wrote that the company
Hmm.
was gonna try and take over the spot our bar was in, and if we
Hmm.
didn't do the things that were clearly posted, like there were newsletters and bulletins and mail came through the door saying this property is going to be eminently domained. You don't do things to stop these things,
Hmm.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And it
And
happened, because we were like, we don't care. Like, I'm of the mindset that a game a game that can wrap up its internal goals within 3 to 9 months
yeah.
is best. You want to revisit those characters on another
Yep.
adventure, on another quest, another chapter of their life, and keep going forward after that point, okay. But you should be able to end the game.
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't see any point. Like usually I find like, you know what? If it lasts like 18 months, it's a pretty good run. You know, we should be able to have like told the story of those character.
Yeah, that's a year and
Uh,
a half in real
yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Assuming you're
we don't need
meeting.
to go like every week in a dungeon for like months on end until oh no, I finally reached like level 5. No, let's just like do some time skip and let's go to the important, the interesting part
Yeah,
of
uh,
the story of those character. You know, we might do some to illustrate. Okay, at that point in their life they were doing that, and then they move on to something else. But
yeah,
and
um,
I can see like the borrowing being
yeah,
legitimate kind of a campaign adventure scenario, you know, like
yeah.
if there's still drama, you know, oh, you got thugs that come cause some trouble, or there's like the mob that want to take over your bar, or they want to force you to pay protection, or there's like this people trying to to buy the block, and then you want to cock block them, or you know,
Yeah,
stuff like that. Like I can see that, like it's centered around the bar, you own the
yeah,
bar, but then there's event happen that gets in your way, and at some point you lose it.
yes.
But
And I saw that Bear was in the chat. He used to be a bouncer.
yeah.
Our bouncer was an NPC.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a new one every week. Uh,
Yeah.
not literally. We just kept forgetting his name.
Liquor say I trapped my liquor cabinet. I ain't sharing my whiskey with my kid. You know, you can just like put an alarm as well. Like no
Yeah.
need to put like big explosion. Don't put a claimer on your
No,
cabinet.
put a
Yeah.
claim on your whiskey.
Or just put decoy whiskey bottle with some poison in it. That's a trap. No, that's a bit too harsh. Yeah, I don't have kids, so
It tastes
anymore.
like whiskey. Why, when I got a paper cut, did I bleed to death? My whiskey is black poison.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, LC video game I've ruined TTRPG.
yeah,
It's kind of like a, you know, like video game used to be inspired by a role playing game, and then now it's going the other way around. It's
yeah.
yeah,
Well, that's the
the
like you,
backwash.
you got these AIs that are generated. Like I played a bit of AI Dungeon. Have you
Yeah.
ever played?
No.
It?
Oh
No.
yeah, yeah. Like the AI that serve as a game master.
Um, it's more of a like a storytelling thing. It doesn't.
Okay. Well, yeah, but I know
It's
what you're talking
a little
about, but I never
fun,
played with
kind
it
of.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I've played it, but it gets really annoying because it has no like all AIs. It has no concept of position or reality or no memory on locations or
Yeah.
whose characters. And this would be, I don't know. You know more about making shit with computers than I do, but you couldn't like have it reference a map,
Yeah.
like even if that map was generated by AI,
Hmm.
right? Like the room, right? The room. Let's say we're in a room, and then it just takes like a digital sticky note and says a room, and then the descriptions of the room you're feeding, and then put it on a this room's in a building. That building is this square on this street. uh, as you're talking about new locations, it starts filling those in and remembering where people are, and not just have them materialize in front of you halfway through a conversation or change the person you're talking to halfway through a conversation,
Yeah. Yeah.
which
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah, even with ChatGPT now, it's a problem as well. If you try to
Yeah,
have him do some work, at some point you just like forget. Like
yeah,
it takes a lot of resource for those to be able to, like, you know, the human brain do stuff that's pretty amazing,
yeah.
and machine has a hard time dealing with it.
But like, all I'm saying is create a goddamn character sheet. And realize that that character sheet is the one you're interacting with.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, but anyway, you just like because like the character is more than the character sheet.
yeah.
Ideally, you know.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I don't know. It
Flames Zombie
seems like
say Critical Role feels so fake. None of it approximate how an actual game is played. What do you think about
it's
that?
it's both too polished and not considered at the same time, I think. Like
Yeah.
from what like I've watched clips from the show. I've never sat down and watched a full episode, but from what I see, like you say, they're doing the Mother May I. They're filling in the lack of skill with Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like no, I don't like people that put on voices at the table normally.
Yeah, especially
Like,
they do like the annoying voice. I don't mind if they do it,
yeah,
but like don't do like a fucking cartoon voice.
yeah, my voice
Yeah.
is squeaky enough. God damn it, you don't want me. Oh, oh, but I don't know. It's one of those things. You could what the fuck's $100?
Or Bleaker say like, oh, is that why people keep talking shit about player asking if they can do something because they want to relate it to Mercer as a way to shit on him? No, that's my take, but it's not. I don't say that to shit on Mercer.
He spreads that cancer.
Yeah, he spread that cancer, but like we talk about like don't ask the GM if you can do so, like don't ask like Sean always say like don't ask the GM question. What
Yeah.
he means is like don't ask you as a player the GM question. Like have your character ask another NPC a question or another character a question, or say what your
Yeah.
character does. You know.
Like I guess you could ask the GM some questions, but they shouldn't be in context of your gameplay, right? Like I can't remember. Did I buy torches at that last village or not?
Yeah. Yeah, like, I'm
That's
not like
a really big question to
it's
ask a DM.
it's just a way to keep the narration and the flow of role play going. You know, just tell what your character does, like what your character move, like if
Yeah.
you're talk in the action, your character act.
Shunner needs X cards to hand to his players. Yeah,
Oh,
that's a
no, for
legitimate
him a GMX card.
that's a legitimate use of X cards to hand to your players when they ask you questions.
Yeah.
I do have speaking of at the top of the show, Mr. Max plug for
Yeah.
my t-shirts. I do have one about the legitimate X card. It's called a door.
Oh yeah, yeah. The X card, it's like a 76-inch tall, and you got a doorknob on it.
Yeah. The the form of consent, you're sitting in it. It's called your chair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
a good one. Either if you sit at the table, you're playing a game. Those are things
Yeah.
that you are in the games. You know, like
Yeah.
you should come into. You're gonna play vampire. You know, yeah. There's gonna
Yeah.
be like some blood drinking and some gay stuff. You should be expected to.
Some gay stuff. He's just like
Ah,
blood drinking and some gay stuff. That's going on a shirt. Vampire. Blood drinking and some gay stuff.
yeah.
If I remember.
What are we talking about? Like, there was one thing I want to talk about, but before we go on that topic, I wanted to see. Did we go around like pretty much what we had to say about roleplay?
We hit a lot of bases. I think we could now do the traditional Mr. Max thing and spend 5 hours talking to the chat.
Yeah, but before that, I want because like we know by your comments and we know by your presence on Ongar and stuff like that, you're quite a political guy, and I am as well.
Yeah.
And without going too much into the weed of politics,
Taser them all and skin their corpses.
When they're alive, just tase them.
Yeah. I want to hear their screaming.
But how do you feel about like politics and gaming? Because you were talking about like we mentioned a bit like Shadowrun and stuff like that, and we can have fun with it. Like having all the corporation at the end. Thank you for doing my bidding.
Yeah.
It's your
sorry.
paycheck. No, go ahead. Like, no, like what you were saying earlier, like you play like those people in Shadowrun, and they all like oppose this corporation and defeat it and stuff like that. And there's like the bigger corporation that come in and say, "Thank you for doing my bidding."
The same corporation. You took
Oh
out
yeah,
internal political rivals.
yeah,
You were, in fact, working for the corporation you were fighting against the whole time.
yeah. Like,
Because
oh, like Bleaker say, I just don't understand why gamer give a shit. You really get bent out of shape because a player asks rather than tells. I always like saw it as a way of just being polite, not bad, wrong, fun or being. It's not. It's not that I don't get bent out of shape.
yeah, I'm not a douchebag
It's
about
like
it
yeah,
either.
it's exactly like some people are, but for me it's just like a preference. You know, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
say like, and I'm not just gonna like I'm not gonna react because that's gonna be more harmful to the session than
Yeah.
otherwise.
It's just
But
bad
like
form,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like bad
It's just
form.
like just tell me what your character is doing. It's just like
Yeah. It's
you try not to be an asshole about it. That'd be like
yeah.
my
It's
yeah.
the difference between like fine art and abstract art. They're both technically art, but
Well,
one of them's more art.
one of them is a financial scam, but that's
Yes. Oh,
yeah.
one of them is lazy, made by a monkey on a Tuesday.
Yeah. It's just like if you try to keep like kind of if you try to keep like the kind of like
Mm.
if you're playing the movie of what's happening in the game in your head at the
Yeah,
same
like
time.
and
You
and
want to keep that flow. You want to keep, you know, it's like now at some point, like somebody asks a question out of character. It's like there's a missing reel, like a missing part of the show. Like now you're jarred back out, and say like,
yeah,
what is your character doing? Is it like just
but
and in a sense does the same thing, saying like, oh, I tried to lift the rock. Does the same thing that Stick and I lift the rock. But if
yeah,
you say like now you can keep the picture going in your head of like, okay, now this
I
character go and
even
try to lift the rock.
I even do not like the I try to. It's like I go over to the rock and pick it up or attempt to pick it up. Like
Well, attempt or
there's
try is the
there's
same
there,
thing. That's the thing.
there is a slight gradient in those two
Yeah.
words.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
try is my preferred way because like
yeah,
if you don't know if you're gonna like don't say I try to open the door like if it's just a regular door
yeah.
because then it's
Try to
assumed
use
you're gonna succeed. But if something like you know you might fail. Also I talk about that before. You know, we often talk about
yeah,
the player always only rolls when the GM tells
yeah,
them. But I say like that's the rules. But you know, once you know the rules, sometimes you can break them. And with
yeah.
some kind of player, sometimes I say if you're gonna try something that you know might fail, you can just make your roll and tell me what's happened.
Well, in that case, like say we're back in the room from earlier,
Yeah,
and I tell you the door is locked. Like you can feel it shake in the frame, but it's distinctively locked.
yeah,
Um, okay, so you look around for something to pick a lock with. You
or
reach into
something.
yeah,
Well, yeah,
you reach into your pocket and find a fucking pack of lockpicks.
yeah,
Whatever, I don't care. Um, and you attempt. You just I'm attempting to pick the lock and roll.
hmm
Right? Like I accept that as that's legitimate. I'm attempting to pick a lock. My stat is say 9 on a d20. I got to
yeah,
get that or better. And I roll the d20. And if I get that number or better, the fucking door opens.
yeah. But
Uh,
sometimes there's like some communication back and forth between the GM,
yeah.
like or mechanical stuff. You know, like if I say, oh, I'm gonna like I take my
Well,
pick lock and I try to pick the lock. Now the GM can tell me that's gonna be it's a very hard lock to pick. Then
yeah.
I can make my roll and say, but I managed to do it.
Yeah. So you could have a modifier on that. Like so far we haven't introduced magic into this world whatsoever. Right? So there's no spell cast lock or whatever. It's just a fucking iron lock. Right? Like for any of
Yep.
you that didn't watch or hear that part of the thing. Go back and watch the whole thing. Watch it
Yeah.
5 times. He needs the view
But
hours.
I need the VR. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I touched on earlier how I like parties that start off fairly homogenous at the beginning of
Yep.
the game,
Yep.
and any diversity in that party should come after the death of a character. And no, I'm not super fond of skipping people up to the same level of
Hmm.
the party. Maybe if the party's like really high level, I don't know, maybe you've come back to the same group of players 4 or 5 times with the same characters and they're like level 15 or something. I don't know, something like that. Okay, you're hiring a hireling, which is a new player or a new character, not a new player, because somebody died. That's a higher level than 0 or whatever. But besides that, no. Do you like a well-rounded party at the beginning of or fairly like
No, I like my party to be well, like I'm not a big fan of like a magic user, and I like my party to be mainly
yeah
human. If we're like a fantastic setting, if they start like to be more than like a one demi-human,
yeah
I
well
get less happy. But so I like my party fairly homogeneous. I don't mind if like there's like a thief and a
those are
fighter and
skills though.
yeah, exactly. Like some people with different skill, because if you want to go a job, you would pick somebody. Oh, we'll need somebody that can fight and tank,
Yeah,
and we need somebody that can open door if we encounter them, or maybe
yeah.
scout around. We need a guide. We need a you would try to find like people with diverse skill that complement each other. So that I don't mind.
Hmm.
Um,
But
and I
like,
like and I like the power curve to be crunched down quite a bit as well.
yeah,
So when you begin, you're basically beginner. You know something, but you're not like super extraordinary or anything.
yeah,
And once you're gonna be like super extraordinary at something, you're not gonna be like 20 times more powerful than the beginner either. It might be like maybe 5 times. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
that's still a big deal. And if somebody die, because I like the spark curve being crunched down, if somebody dies, it's not such a big deal to you might not
I'm a new
start
player.
as from 0, but you're not gonna start at the same level either.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Unless maybe if the party would say, like, well, you know what you need, we just lost our thief. Or we need to replace him. Let's try to find somebody that is now we have money, let's try to hire somebody that's pretty good. Then maybe I'll say, okay, but maybe they're not gonna make another thief either. Also, like I'm not a big fan of class system. I'm more like a skill based game, so that's also different.
yeah. That's what
Um,
intrigued me about Morkborg is that you are the things you're carrying.
yes, Knave is the same thing.
Yeah,
Mm.
I've never played Nav. Um,
Me neither. I just know that about that. Your skill set is determined by your equipment.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're saying like a homogenous group with all
Mm.
humans, plural, multiple. It's not one person. Damn you French bastard. um, but like when we were talking before, you were like, I don't like elf magic, whatever's or dwarf
Yeah.
clerics. I don't remember the specific things you listed. Um, if because those people would be back in
Yeah. Exactly.
mountain hold or forest land,
Yeah. If you
unless
if you play if you play a dwarf, like yeah, you have a class which is dwarf, but it's dwarf adventurer. You play a
yeah
specific type of dwarf that live the mountain, and unless you have like a very specific reason, if it's a big epic thing.
yeah
But when you're beginning, I think it should be
I would put the exception to that if the party, like say you had a party of 5 like Magic Wolf here is saying,
yeah.
um, uh, you if all 5 of your party were dwarfs,
Oh yeah. That's
or
that's the different that,
5 of
that
your
that's the different thing. I completely.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you're coming from that place
Yeah.
on your quest as a
Yeah,
group of
it's like homogeneity basically. Like it's having like your party has a reason to stick together, to be together.
yeah
If it's just like a big goofy thing, I'm fairly behind on the chat. Like I need to scroll down. I wanted to say that like What do I roll for? Is it something they often use? They don't often use. They don't use often. Fuck, I cannot read. Yeah, those kind of questions as well. That's something also you see a lot of in Critical Role. They often ask that. What do I roll for? That I find a bit annoying, but sometimes if there's not been a proper communication with the GM, that can happen. It's just
Nev
like
Campbell's playing.
what?
I know what Nev Campbell is playing.
Nev Campbell's? What are you talking about?
Bear just said Party of
Oh,
Five. What's Nev Campbell playing? Nev Campbell was the older sister in Party of Five.
I completely missed that reference. Oh, I don't know what Party of
Party of
Five
Five
is,
was
and
a.
I don't know what who Nev Campbell is either.
You ever watch the movie Scream?
I don't watch movies.
Scream.
No.
I liked her in Catwalk though. I was a bigger fan of Catwalk. Yeah. You are an uncultured rube. You know that, right?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Like I don't care for culture. I need that.
As we know, Party of Five is the height of all culture, right after Dawson's Creek.
Hello, Bear. By the way, I'm behind on the chat. I'm gonna try to catch up a bit, but then I want to go back to this
Dwarf
politics and
is-
gaming. I want to have your take on that.
No,
Unless you
no.
avoid it. No.
Race or species is not class. It's
Race?
culture. It should determine how you look at the world. And the second you start making it those things, making it your abilities beyond some specific limitations, you're a bad writer.
Craft wants to buy a calendar. Don't you have an insurance agent? Yeah, or realtor. They always come. Oh, I brought you a calendar. If you ever think of
Yes.
selling your house, yeah, calendars are easy to find.
Yeah.
But they're also like $1 if you want one with a cute kitten instead of like a random picture that you don't care about. Group activity behind example of why social contract safety tool the next card exists due to lack of civility and respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
People don't know how to behave in society anymore. Don't know how to behave, like, interact with you, but because they haven't been trained. Because we have been trained so wrong from the get go when we're young about this all like, oh, everybody's a winner, no discrimination. Oh, you have to play with him. Yeah, you don't like him, but you still have to play with him because people cannot be excluded. But that teach the people that isn't social not to better themselves. So
yeah, and then you end up with like people like me. Lol.
Yeah.
I want to win now.
You still manage to manage, no? Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to catch up on the talk a bit. I'm trying to catch up on the.
Yeah, something about Critical Role. Something else. Charlotte said Party of Five was a family.
Yeah. Well, like, yeah, Tyler was saying in this Party of Five, there's only like 2 human, and what are the rest? Because that's the thing.
Yeah,
too.
I ignored that
when
part. That part wasn't relevant.
When you have like too many. Oh, hello, Black Lodge Gaming. But
yeah,
when you have like
earlier.
pod dweller, yeah. When you have like, I don't live in the pod yet. I'm moving back in one. Soon.
Hey, my pod has 5 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms.
Oh yeah. Mine will be as well. Actually, my pod was gonna be like bigger than my house now, I think.
Yeah.
But now I got some land, but I'm getting rid of it anyway.
Oh, I live in an apartment building, but I have 3
yeah.
bedrooms. So
yeah, the thing about like
2 stories.
When you start to have like too many non-human in your game, and when you make like when you make class. When you make that any race can be any class and stuff like that, then at some point, like if you have too many non-human, everybody become human because they all become the same. They all become like, oh, it's a short human. It's a human with 20 years. It's a human with
20 years.
20 years, yeah. 20 years.
I thought you said 20.
No, 20 years.
It's funny you're 20.
That's a specific kind of thing, you know.
There's somebody with that fetish out there.
Yeah. Just on the verge of being too old.
20 years.
20. Oh no, I thought you said years.
I thought you said 20 years.
Oh no, I thought you said no. I said 20 years.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. This is a circular argument, damn you. um, no. But like, I could see your race limiting your options, but not defining them, right? Like a dwarf botanist should
Yeah,
be kind of like no. Dwarf farmer, yes, but botanist, no.
even dwarf
Uh,
farmer.
yeah.
It's a bit stretching it, in my opinion.
Well, they do have agriculture.
Do they?
Yeah, they grow mushrooms and shit.
Is that agriculture? Maybe they
If
just
it's a
harvest
crop,
them. Well, I don't know.
like you do farm, you can farm mushrooms. There is mushroom farming. It involves
Yeah,
dung.
I know that there's no mushroom farming, but I don't know if the dwarf does it or if the dwarf just like collect. I don't know. That's it depends on your setting, I guess. But
Yeah, but
yeah,
you still get what I mean. Like having the basics of a science like farming and being at the far end proficiency of it, like being a botanist or whatnot. No, but that's the exact opposite for elves, right?
yeah.
Like every elf should be an expert botanist just by the nature of their society
Hmm.
and the length of their lives.
Like dwarf should be like stone cutter or some shit
Yeah,
like that,
like
or
i-
blacksmith or
in in
craftsman.
in in dwarf high school,
Yeah,
shop class starts in kindergarten.
yeah. And it's like 4 out of 5 session in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know, you got music, gym, and French. Well, you didn't get French. You got a free period or whatever. You fucking demon. But like we
we had
got
English. What do you think?
you actually had English? I
Yes.
thought they I
Yeah.
thought they got rid
No.
of that.
Yeah. It's surprising to when you hear me talking.
Well, my father's last name was Parisien, and I still don't
Yeah.
speak a fucking word of the language. Oh,
Oh, Elle said the Canadians having a civil war, the French one will surrender. That's why you're wrong, because French Canadian are the French from France. Actually, English Canadians surrendered already a long time ago.
yeah.
Yeah, the French from the
French
country.
Canadians come from Scotland and Ireland. That's why
Well,
his hair is red.
Normandy as well. Like I'm Norman, so we're not like the same kind of French.
We used to have those commercials. The kids being adopted by the French people.
Yeah.
We can't change our last names. It's all we have left. From the potato famine or whatever, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You never got those
No,
Canadian
I don't watch TV.
history. Those were like the 90s, man.
I haven't watched TV in a long time.
Oh, okay.
I just when I'm not on stream, I just stare at the wall. Like, whoa.
I respect that. I respect that. Yeah. This freeze face is funny. We all laugh at this one. Ha ha ha.
What?
You froze.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was telling the audience to laugh at the freeze face because it was funny.
Yeah. There was like a Flame Zombie saying like getting your party to role play is certainly harder. It gets talked about because people recoil in disgust when you ever mention Mother May I. Yeah, I think if you overreact about it, because people have been talking a lot about that, like in chat, I've been trying to catch up on chat, and I'm not putting everything on screen because it's a lot about talking about those like asking questions to the GM. It's always a topic,
Yeah.
we talk about it because it's always a topic that generates a lot of talks. Like I don't know why. It's like, well, if you don't do it, don't do it.
Well,
It's like
that's the thing.
I think it's worth trying, but like Flame Zombie, getting what Flame Zombie say here. If you overreact to it, to somebody asking a Ken question or is there this question,
Yeah.
if you overreact to it, you're causing more harm than good.
The only time,
It's your brain.
well, maybe not the only time, but like the only time quotation marks you should be directly asking the game master something is if you need more, like the light fixture. You were looking at the light fixture earlier, and I was just making shit up.
Yeah,
right?
which is all right.
Because that's what you do as a game master. You
Yeah,
just make
and
shit up.
depending on your group as well, I could
Yeah,
have made shit up as well. You know, like you didn't
yeah.
specify a light fixture, and that's depending on the group. I
And I
like
would
that.
have accepted that. I would
Yeah.
have accepted that. But like, because I, in that scenario, I don't care if it's a medieval fantasy
Hmm.
or like a hyper modern or future. Like I could have said neon light.
Hmm.
I could have said it's the solid white glow of neon behind an armored glass panel that you are not getting through. Full stop. Period. You fucking noob. You hear this coming from a goddamn speaker in the corner of the room. You hear a speaker coming from the corner of the room. It's a neon light behind an armor panel. It's not even me telling you that. It's a freaking AI security monitor.
So neon light, yeah, you're correcting like that at some point, like exactly too. Like if your player like contributes something, it doesn't really matter. Just like let it
Yeah.
run. Like
Yeah,
I
as
approve that.
long as it's not world breaking,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Like
Yeah,
that's the only time you should correct a description from your player is if it's world breaking.
yeah.
Like
Or if
um
something that has been like specified otherwise and the player wasn't listening or whatever, and just like,
yeah.
but that's a different
Yeah,
problem.
but I consider changing already described things as breaking the world.
Yeah.
Um
Okay. Fair.
yeah, because now you're introducing a material that can change form at will.
Yeah.
um
Bleaker
but
said like Justin is insulting Mr. Max, so I'm dropping this X. Like, man, don't worry about it. That's how we interact.
yeah, all the time. I'm
Yeah.
always calling him a demon for speaking French.
Flame Zombie say race as class is lazy design. Does your dwarf culture just not have profession? Yeah, they do. But that's what I always say. Like the dwarf
Like,
with job, they're in the citadel.
yeah,
You're a fucking basically a dwarf vagabond. You're a dwarf wanderer. You're a dwarf.
yeah.
You know that's your profession.
Unless you're being
Unless,
sent out by the
yeah,
dwarf hires as a
yeah,
group of dwarves,
yeah,
you're going to be the dwarf equivalent of an adrenaline junkie that can't fit into society, like people from North America and Ukraine right now fighting because they're war zone tourists, right? Like we said at the top of the show, you're going to have those people. Those are the same people in human society that are out there jumping in dungeons
yeah,
and running things. And we're still using the framework of role playing games in the classical dungeon diving thing, but a month or so ago, the boys at Black Lodge reviewed uh, the video on Dungeon Professor's channel about the
oh
Jane
yeah, Jane
Austen game.
Austen. Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah, you wouldn't do that in that game. That's still like that's not a legitimate role playing game, but the
yeah.
concept is a legitimate role playing game. Um, because the people who created that have no respect for the time period, the
Mhm.
culture, the people, Jane Austen, or any of Jane Austen's characters.
Yeah,
So that's not a Jane Austen role playing game. It's a pile of garbage that costs what $700. They priced it out on the show. It was like that much. Get
already.
get it all.
That's insane. That's
Yeah,
insane.
to get the whole thing and
Yeah,
all of its expansions.
yeah. Blicker
But
say I'm
like
surprised the war draft lasted so long in What's books. Yeah, that's I'm surprised too.
the
Let's
word
watch out. They're
dwarf.
not gonna. Yeah, that they didn't
Yeah.
like cancel the word dwarf. Sorry, I thought you were done.
Oh no. You know me. I'm okay with tangents.
Yeah.
Like I would have no problem sitting. Like I was joking with those guys in that chat. I would have no problem sitting down at that table and playing that
Mm-hmm.
for a solid 6 months. Well, a weekly session of whatever, because I can get into the character. I'm there to tell the story. That's the fun. The fun for me is exploring the concepts, and I'm also a bit of a fan of that kind of literature. So
I'm not familiar with it, so like like it'd be hard for me to just judge her from there because like I'm not
yeah,
I've never read anything by Jane Austen and stuff like that. But
yeah, but the books aren't that long. You can watch the movies. There's a really
I
good
don't.
one with Keira Knightley. Everyone loves Keira
How long
Knightley.
do I have to do that? I don't watch movie and I don't read books.
Yes, you are like one stone throw away from being a Luddite. You goddamn savage.
Exactly. Mr. Max YouTuber trains people how to behave now. PewDiePie, Mr. Beast, Asen Parker. I do too. That's why we go on YouTube. Your fucking parents didn't do it, so you have to turn to YouTube. So this meme, like your parents tell you to clean your room and say "fuck you, mom and dad," and then like a fucking YouTuber tell you clean your room and say "oh, that's genius." It's fucking.
It's not pronounced "clean your room." It's pronounced "wash your penis."
Yeah, wash your penis. Jordan Peterstein.
It's Kermit B. Peterson. I have a shirt. I have a shirt.
Human rule. I wish we had more of them nowadays instead of all those influencers. Yeah. All those NPCs we have now, like not enough people anymore.
Yeah. And that's by design, right?
Yeah, well, I guess so. Bear say, I fully believe that Mr. Boivin just stared at the wall. Yeah, that's why we all need hobby.
Here's a switch. Here's a switch. It turns off.
That's what I do. You know, like I sit on my slab and I look around. That's the door. That's
like, I don't remember this curtain before. I remember looking at this wall before.
When is the paint really dry?
It takes roughly 6 months.
Yeah. Mr. Max favorite, your dwarf wizard. You know what? I hate wizards so much that being a dwarf wizard makes it a little less, a little better.
Oh, I did this in. I think you were on the show with Max Liao.
Max Liao, yeah.
Yeah, remember I started creating the dwarf wizard spells in chat. It's like enchants twirling stick. Hold stick above head and turns around quickly. Casts throwing rock.
Yeah.
Picks rock up from ground and throws it.
That's how a dwarf wizard should be.
Yep.
I cast hammer in face.
No. This is too. It's gotta be stupid stuff. Because a dwarf wizard is actually mocking you.
Yeah. All right, I wanted to ask you about like politics and gaming.
Yeah.
Like,
but me and tangents.
Yeah, I know. It's a fucking half an hour tangent now.
Actually, it's more like an hour, but
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, politics and gaming.
Yeah, like there's two aspects of that. Obviously, like the culture war and not buying stuff from people who hate you and stuff like that. Like I believe in that.
Like, I'm okay. You buy people from stuff with people that disagree with you. It's when they start calling for your fucking extermination. You got a hard line. Know them.
Yeah. For me, like it bothers me also when they start like doing a lot of promotion of sin. But you know what I mean?
Well, in this kind of storytelling, sin is like an important motivation.
Yeah.
But it should be in the context of the story.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
In the context of your life.
Exactly. I hate it when they do. Also, like one thing that really bothers me is when like run rule books, when game books try to tell me how to live my life. When they have those little like sidebar, like, oh, you should be accepting and tolerant and don't be mean to people. Fuck you, man. Just tell me how to play the game. Don't tell me how to live my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
if I want to know how to live my life, I'll ask Kermit B. Peterson.
Yeah, that's or that's the choice you have, or Cobra tape.
Yeah.
The duality of men.
Duality of something.
Yeah.
Uh,
But also like including like a political theme in your game and stuff like that. Like you feel like there's
yeah.
a lot of plays. Do you feel like there's a way to do it? How do
Um,
you?
I have no problem with politics in the game. Like, it's. I think there's that German word Gestalt.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything is a part, and if you leave something out, you don't have the thing. I'm
Mm-hmm.
paraphrasing what it means. If you leave politics out of your game,
Yeah.
you're leaving a massive part of telling story out of your game.
Yeah.
And
That what I would agree. But it doesn't have to be current affair politics.
it doesn't have to be anything to do with real life,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if you're telling a story, like I said this before, I am so sick and tired of the they're secretly Nazis
Yeah.
or they're an analogy for Nazis.
Yeah.
And then
That's fucking gets tiring.
everything everybody knows about Nazis come from fucking comic books and not real
Yeah.
life.
And Hollywood and
Like you pick up your goddamn history book and it's more fictional than the things on the pages of Captain America
yeah.
because that's all we're ever taught.
Mm-hmm.
Uh
It's all propaganda.
yeah.
Mm.
There's more propaganda taught about World War II than the rest of history combined tenfold.
It's because the new foundation myth. That's how we
Yeah.
define ourselves now as a culture. We're the good guy because we defeated the Dark Lord. That's
Yeah.
what it is. It's literally what it is. So now every time you try a story, people try to tell it through that lens, but it's fucking tired and it's fucking retarded. But anyway,
Yeah. And especially if you know anything about the actual events, you know that
or
it's just
just if you think about it and say like,
yeah.
does the narrative that we get told really make sense? You say like, well, you know what? I have some question maybe, but that's not allowed
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
that's a big part of talking about politics in games because
yeah,
that's how politics in games are forged.
yeah.
You know,
That
and
it's the whole like people always say like politics is downstream from culture, but that's
it's a
kind of a back and
circular
forth
loop.
as well.
Yeah,
Exactly. Mm.
the river is a perfect circle,
Yeah,
and there's more stops on the road than just those two things. But
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I often add the part like that. Culture is downstream from religion, which is
yeah,
a part as well. But then again, there's also like
I
cross contamination. It's a tides that goes in and come out.
yeah,
Yeah.
that this is one of those.
I don't know. Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
but what am I about to say? But yeah, like, and that's the thing that's really tiring for me because like one thing I often say is like the players at the table are not your audience; they're the co-creator. But also one thing I would say, you're not there as a GM to lecture your player. You're not
yeah,
there like to tell them like you want to pose them moral
yeah,
quandary, but pose them honest one. Like
yeah,
bring about interesting situation that have a political component or maybe like a moral component,
yeah.
stuff like that. But don't
Um,
bring it with you knowing the correct answer. If you know the correct answer,
then
it's not an honest moral dilemma.
yeah,
You're doing a lecture.
you as the game master are there to put events in the world, not even obstacles, just events. Um, the players are the ones telling the story. Uh, you create
Yeah,
the world and some of the
yeah.
themes, but the players
Because
are the ones deciding what to do.
yeah, exactly. Because the
Right?
player controlling the protagonist, and it's the
Yeah,
story of the protagonist. It's not the story of the world you're telling. It's the story of the
yeah,
protagonists that are in
yeah.
the world. You control the world,
And if
but
you
they're the special.
if you take a writing course, one of the first things they tell you, and if you've ever read a bad fantasy novel or a
Yeah,
bad sci-fi novel, uh, when the author spends more time world building than that's bad writing.
yeah. And I made a video about that, like why most fantasy movie or sci-fi movie sucks is because of that. Because they try to make the world the star of the show instead of like telling me a story
Um,
about character, about emotion, about drama. You know,
was it on? in your chat, or I was in someone's chat and they were talking about Star Wars and how there's like a backstory for the bartender in
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
cantina scene. And,
yeah. I remember seeing your comment. I don't remember if it was in my chat or what. Maybe it wasn't
um,
Bear. I
and
think it
it's
was in
like
Bear chat.
maybe it was Bear's chat.
Mm.
And it's like the backstory for the bartender in the cantina should be he owns a bar. Maybe he's a drunk. He kind of looked like a drunk to me. That's it. The end. The second you start adding more to that, you're moving into the bad writer territory.
Yeah, unless there's a reason for it. Unless like it can be like
But
a
he
but
that character is set dressing.
yeah, but that's the thing. Like it could be that the it become an important character, and then you can have like a backstory to it. Like
Yeah,
it become a real character. But yeah, most characters they're extras. You don't know they
yeah,
don't really need the name. Like in movies, they don't have like a credit roll with all the extra in it. They don't have like a
yeah,
backstory for the extra. Like when you go on a set just to fill out the background, you don't ask the director what's my motivation. It's gonna say, shut up, you're in the bar, you're having a beer.
yeah. And you even like they talk about that with Star Trek Voyager,
Mm-hmm.
right? How the Doctor's character had nothing written about his backstory because he's just a fucking hologram. So they gave the writers more room to grow that character, but they did that. They wrote a shit ton of stuff with Neelix, right? Like a whole backstory for him before the show started, and his character never developed, or you saw it on screen
Yeah,
because the writers couldn't do anything with it.
yeah. But like I
And
often say
thus,
like
he became the most annoying character on the show.
the backstory of your world or the world design is like the iceberg, and sometimes like you can
Yeah.
keep the point that you see afloat. But also, the thing I always like say, like when I say like don't keep your world mundane, don't focus too much about world building, is because oftentimes it becomes a trap. Because if you spend a lot of time like creating this world that is original and stuff like that, and you're gonna be tempted to do it's a game we're playing, and we
Mm-hmm.
want to focus on the character, we want to focus on the action, you want to focus
Yeah.
on the drama.
And
If you put too much world building, you're gonna be tempted to do expo dump, you're gonna be tempted to tell a story to your player, and
yeah,
those are bad habits.
it's like in in good in good literature, in good film, that stuff is seen, right? Like they
Mm-hmm.
say, show don't tell.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's when you get too many spanning shots showing the world, you're not telling the story.
yeah,
Which in the case of spanning shots showing the world, that's telling, not showing. Like it's like one of those kind of
yeah,
backward things in description, but it's one of those things. But back to the politics, right? Like just because we're still kind of in that brief moment of storytelling. Um, you're there to tell a story, not to re-educate. You're a game master, not a fucking janissary of the state.
yeah,
Don't
exactly.
act like one.
Yeah, yeah. You're here
Yeah,
to like not even to tell a story, to facilitate a story being told.
yeah.
Way.
Well, like as the whole party, because sometimes it's one of
Yeah,
the
exactly.
players doing this shit, right?
Yeah,
Like that's what the
yeah.
whole X card thing is.
Oh,
To say
I was
no,
I
you're
saw
my
I remember
property.
we were talking about Critical Role earlier, and I remember like seeing a clip. I watched some of it because I was
Yeah.
curious about what it was, but I didn't watch that much of it because I don't watch media. But
You fucking.
but I remember
You're
like
gonna
seeing a
find this
clip.
guy mainlines fucking film and books. He's got like 7 monitors watching 7 different movies at all fucking time. The wall is actually just like tiled
Yeah, Tile
in
TV.
theater screens. He's
Only
bathing.
watch the same three things. That's the thing.
Star Wars from beginning to end,
No,
Star Trek from beginning to end,
nope.
and Days of Our Lives.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a soap opera. It's just
Oh,
like way off beat.
oh, it's like kind of yeah. No, but what I was saying is, I remember like seeing a clip of was it a Critical Role? I think it was Critical Role,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there was like meeting a character for the first time. Oh no, was it a clip of Baldur's Gate? No, it was in fucking Baldur's Gate. I think it was from when
yeah,
Black Lodge game was playing.
yeah.
Anyway, they meet this character for the first time. I don't remember what it was
Oh yeah,
from.
yeah. They kill the vampire guy, and then
I
they
don't remember. It was like some kind of druid character.
yeah.
Oh, it was in
Oh
the D&D movie. It might be in the D&D movie. It was some kind of like crap like that. I remember it was a druid character. But then like the rest of the party meet the character for the first time. And the characters start like doing, oh, my people, and then they go like for the expo dump of the like your backstory. You're fucking like dumping my backstory there. I just fucking met you, and like I
yeah.
say like oh, so you're
Now
with like
I've met people like that, and I
yeah, but
usually
and then you tell them like
ask them to wait 1 minute, then walk away.
I'll move I'll move away.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like what are
Oh,
you
this is
telling
a
me all
hot
this?
chick. Then you're like,
But you
uh-huh.
don't listen anyway. But that's the thing, like people don't like think about your grocer, like the boy, like the bagger at the grocery store. How much of his life do you know? You know fucking nothing because you don't
You know
fucking
he's a
care.
beggar at a grocery store,
Exactly,
which
and
is
maybe
like
you can assume something from how he looks.
the first question I ask when I see a beggar at a grocery store is, when did I use a time machine? And why am I not gay? Because as we all know, time travel makes you gay 100% of the time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Good
Don't
thing
use
I
a time
avoided it. So,
machine.
well, I tend to avoid it on principle, on a philosophical ground,
Yeah.
but I don't because I don't like technology. Uh, although with a time machine, I could go with a time with less technology. Here's the conundrum.
Uh, nah, I'd want to go forward.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I assume there'll also be less technology in the future.
That's fair. I would say you can just freeze yourself, but then there's a risk that you cannot be unfrozen then.
Yeah, in the future, they won't have the ability to unfreeze you.
Yeah. What are you
Uh,
talking about? Oh yeah, lecturing the people, doing the expo dump, world building. Yeah, it's often become like a trap because of that.
yeah.
Anything else to add about that? We're saying,
Um.
and as a GM, you're not there to like even if we're like oh, you know what? I got this idea of scenario. First, you're gonna railroad if you start with that.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
About
No.
like all
And
the
that. That's.
how big pharma is bad, whatever you want to do. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
stay think out
Big
of a
pharma is
yeah
bad. Um.
yeah. But now what are you trying to do? Like
Law. Well, that's one
exactly.
of the things. That's one of the things why I suggest starting with a calendar. Back to my thing earlier.
Hmm.
Um, is because when you're writing in, especially if you get the really small one from the dollar store, the pocket calendar,
Yeah.
it forces you to write in that little stupid box events. And if
Hmm.
you stick it, try and keep into that box, maybe the next one at the most, it prevents you from, oh, I got more space on the page. I can make this more detailed.
Oh,
You know,
really? Oh, that's interesting because what
it,
sometimes I get the small calendar. Or I just like print one. I got a printer. Like you can also do that if you don't want to buy one. You can just
yeah,
print
but
your own, and then you can even make it fantasy if you want.
yeah, but the point is to limit the complexity you're developing the world
Yeah.
at,
Because
especially
oftentimes
if
what I
you're
say I'm just gonna put like a letter in the box of the
yeah
day, and then I'm gonna have like under the page like the calendar is gonna be like half a page, and then under the page I'm gonna have like the legend.
yeah. That's why
But
I say don't get the full size one.
yeah,
Get the pocket one at the dollar
yeah,
store
yeah.
because
But I
you
don't
might
tend I don't I'm not tempted to overcomplicate it. I'm just saying,
yeah.
oh, this is gonna happen there,
But
and
there
then
are a lot of people that are, so I'm
mhm.
giving generic advice here.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
it's a good. I see what your point. It's a good point. Mm,
yeah, because I saw that in the wild, like playing a game once, and that
mhm.
was one of the better games I was in. So, and then I started really like tearing apart the philosophy of it because that's what I do when I'm
Mhm.
not able to sleep for 3 weeks at a time. Uh, which is not possible. That's an exaggeration. You would
Yeah,
literally die if you were up that long.
yeah, we're right.
Um,
Just like little sleep here and there.
yeah. Um, but no, just lost my train of thought again. That happens to me a lot. That's why I go into tangents all the time.
Yeah, you're talking about like those. That's because you don't sleep enough. You're
Yeah,
talking
before
about
that.
those calendar that you
Yeah,
saw and you try to breaking down the philosophy of it.
yeah. Which you should always try to do because it helps you winnow away garbage that you're
Hmm.
doing and improve on things that are working well. Right? Like, why is this working? Why is
Yeah.
this good? Uh, it also gives your players breadth to do things. Once again, as long as it's not breaking the world. Like, one of my favorite characters is an orc. I played an orc named Lurg. He wasn't like a half orc or anything like that. He was just an orc, but you're frozen.
Yeah. No.
Okay. I was just making sure because sometimes you don't hear.
Yeah. I heard like what if your character is an orc named Lurg?
Yeah, okay. So he was just a plain orc, but he was a runt, right?
Hmm.
A little smaller than the rest of the orcs and a little smarter because you need to bring down orc strength and up orc intelligence when you're playing D&D. But it was like one of those endless dungeon things, and the orcs were being dominated by a dark lord that was enslaving them under lizard men controllers. And a
Yeah.
bunch of other like gnolls and shit like that were in there. Um, no, it was an old dwarf fortress, and Lurg, before I got him as a character, was being used as a janitor and a repair ass monkey by his masters. Right, so this is his backstory. What we know about him. So he's pretty good with some dwarf technology, right? And he's got
Hmm.
like some dwarf books, and he's trying to learn this stuff. This is his backstory. So I asked the game master, can I make like a chainsaw for my weapon? And it's like, well, how would it work in the world, right? Because this is me, like I- as the character. I'm like, I'm learning this book. I'm trying to make these devices. Look, I can make this thing spin, right? And I'm also an orc, so I'm gonna put it at the end of a stick. And try to hit people with it. So the game master goes, well, how would that work without breaking the world? That's a reasonable question you could ask your player, like as a player. How does that work without breaking the world as a
Hmm.
game master? Because instead of saying no, you can't do that, which is bad form, how do you do it without breaking fucking reality?
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work that well. It's I don't know, a spear with a +3 if I can manage to make it work. But if it doesn't, it's got a -2 or something like that. I don't know, something like that. Put stupid stats like that on it. I don't remember. This was like a decade ago. I don't remember what the stats were. But it
Yeah.
was like a
But
plus if I could turn it on at the beginning of my turn. It was a minus if I couldn't.
I also like I also ask like what does it bring? What does it bring to the narrative? What does it bring to the you
Well,
know? Are you just like focusing on appearances? You just think it's just cool to have that? Does
well,
it promote the?
sometimes you do things because it's cool, right? That's fun. That's
Yeah,
enjoyable. Um,
I don't believe in that.
yeah, you and your freaking wall. It's not even a blank wall. It's a wall that says "fuck Mr. Max" on it. He's wrong, and a bunch of
I
very
stare at
negative
that all day.
aphorisms. And they're not even written in French. They're written in English because he knows it's a better language than his. um, but it feeds into the the story of the character, right? The character's interested in machinery, he's tinkering, he's
Mm-hmm.
doing things. So it feeds into that. It's not world breaking because it doesn't work all the time and it's like fucking junk. It's an obstacle that I have to go through in combat. So like it's like a magic weapon that 2/3 of the time is less powerful than more powerful. You know,
Mm-hmm.
imagine you had a fire sword that every time you hit somebody, it gave them a life point back. You know, or so like, and you're still
Like
trying to
what?
fight because you know it's an orc. He doesn't fucking care.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
that'd be the thing. That would be the thing I would be asking about. Is like, yeah, what does it tell me about your character? I say, okay, yeah, he's interested in machines, stuff like that. Okay, maybe yeah, we try to
yeah,
do something like that. Because it brings back to what we were talking earlier, like people with no personality. And I guess like a
yeah,
lot of people like try to role play and don't have personality in real life, so they don't know how to give a personality to their character.
yeah,
That'd be a whole different topic. But they people with no personality, they try to compensate by uh
just
like
power
superficial thing,
statting. Yeah, just
or
like
by superficial thing, you know, like, oh, you if you ask somebody about your character, oh, who's your character, and all it can tell you is like, oh, is this this class with this weapon and it can do this ability and I use it, you know. Well, you're not dealing with a character there. You're not doing you're not answering who is he.
yeah,
You're answering what is he. You know what I mean?
yeah, and that's the difference between uh I'm muscle bound power barbarian dude and
Yeah.
Lurg. Right? Like
Yeah.
muscle bound power barbarian dude is fine, I guess, if you're doing like a one shot, right?
Or
But if
from like a blank slate starting point, but then like
yeah,
start putting some flesh on those bones without
yeah,
making a kind of weird
a-
pun.
a- and that's why like Lurg was fun as a character
Mhm.
because I would play the when he's not in battle or stressed out, he's trying to learn something or do something. But the second that battle rage comes up, he's full fucking, you know, in the blood of the moment, right? So if
Yep.
his weapon's not working, he's still hitting you like it is because he's a fucking orc. You know, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, at the end of the day, a ravenous dog is still a dog and b ravenous.
Yeah. You see, like people with
Yeah,
the 135-page backstory. That's I made a video about that. How it comes from
yeah,
railroading. It's your chance of telling a story with your character.
yeah.
Or
It's a trained behavior, right? And I don't blame video games for that. I blame I blame 500-page rule books for that. You know, because you start like if you can't. That's why back to the 15-page thing. If you
Mhm.
can't figure out the rules of a game really quickly before learning about the classes and the characters, like those are flavor text,
Yep.
right? Like
Yeah.
elf is a
So
flavor text, human is a flavor
that's also
text.
something that bothers me. Like I always like when you put like character creation before telling me the rules, it fucking
Yeah,
annoys me because like, you know, tell me how I make a check. Tell me like, you know, tell me like the basic at least, you know,
yeah.
so I can have an idea
I
where we're
think
going.
it's not even that. I open the page, the first page of a book. I want to see the full example of what a character sheet looks like in your game,
Oh really?
without decoration, without dress. They're fundamentally the same from game to game, but you have subtle differences based on your rule mechanics that should be demonstrated and exercised on that character sheet. It also gives me something to fucking photocopy. You
Yeah,
know,
I like to have like, the character sheet at the back of the book.
yeah,
And usually like before I'm just gonna open the last page of the book, look at the character
yeah.
sheet, and then go see.
Well,
But
back is fine. I like
mm,
the front because it's putting that image into my mind. So when I'm looking
yeah,
through the rules, I can visualize filling it in.
yeah. But I can see
Right?
also why people want to use the front for like some art or some shit like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You this is after the art, right? Like
Mhm.
after the fucking art.
Yeah.
But you know, and even if you're like you're talking about character creation. Show
Yeah.
me the section of the fucking page I'm filling in with that. Like you got space on the page. You're
On the character
talking
sheet,
about
you mean?
yeah, like
Hmm.
show me that section. Show me physically on the template you provide in the book what section's being filled in.
So you say like oh yeah, okay, you mean like when I get what you mean. I
Yeah,
thought you mean on the character sheet. I thought you mean on the character sheet, like put like, oh, this is gonna be filled in page 268, and this is gonna be
no,
filled in. No, you're talking about in the section, like, oh, here's attribute, you're gonna fill in that, like, here's a example on the
yeah,
character
it's
sheet
just
what it
like a
looks like.
little cutout of what that section of the character sheet is.
Yeah, okay, I get what you
Right.
mean. Yeah,
And then you write all your stuff around it. That way, I'm not spending brain cycles
yeah,
on figuring out where that is on the sheet. I'm spending it on my character and what's going to work with
yeah. I'm so
the
I'm
the
so used I'm so
personality.
used to just like do my character sheet by hand, or write them like on a
Yeah.
on a
Well,
scrap of paper, or like on text document when I play online.
even if like I'm not saying the sheet has to be super formatted
Mhm.
artistically. Just give me a broad template because
Yeah,
I found that really annoying when I was looking at James's game because I keep
yeah,
threatening to rewrite it on him as a joke.
yeah,
Um, is I had to create a character sheet to reference the things in the game because there wasn't one provided in the book, or at least
yeah.
not
But
one I
it's
saw.
no, it's super simple as well. You just like
Yeah, it is, but like even if you only got two
mm,
fucking stats,
yeah,
give me some kind of template to compare them off of. Because I'm also coming from the framework of any book that is produced should be able to be someone's first book.
yeah. I can see that. Uh,
Because if you're not making it easy enough for a new player, you're probably got more than 15 pages of rules.
you see this? Oh, yeah. That's too
Yeah, I
small
can
to
see it.
read. Eh? You
No,
can see
it's
it.
good. My
Like,
my well, it's good for me. Other
I
people
can
won't
zoom
be
on it,
able
but you
to.
see, this is my character sheet for the game of Castle and Cruise I'm playing.
Yeah,
That's all I'm using.
yeah. I
I, I
should
don't
I
I
should
don't
point
fuss
out.
about more than that. Hmm?
Yeah, I should point out that I'm on a 75-inch.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But and without the character sheet, I got some spot about my persona, history, stuff like that, and my attribute. But I know where to find the stuff I need, and I don't need
Yeah.
more than that. But maybe it comes with my personality of like just staring at wall.
Yeah. Most people aren't like that though, right?
Yeah,
Most people don't have the I think that's one of the big detached like there was an argument with I think Abe Condor and Shauner. Like Shauner was on the side of no people that are proficient in things are never making mistakes, so they don't need to roll.
yeah,
Which makes sense if you're a coder that has autocorrect for your fucking errors. Like he's a Python coder, right?
hmm,
So like this. You were in a fucking text format coding software there, were you not? Wasn't that Visual
no, no,
Studio
that's
or
that's a notepad.
no, what? It's got some plugin on the side, man, because I've never seen Notepad look like that before.
Okay, it's Skate. It's
Okay,
Skate because
okay, okay,
I'm a Linux nerd.
okay.
Yeah,
Um, but you know what I mean? Like if you miss a bracket or you put it in backwards or something like that, it'll
yeah,
autocorrect that fucking shit for you. You don't get that when you're an electrician. If you miswire something,
yeah,
you get blue smoke and have to buy new equipment.
yeah. And like I'm into lifting, and I like there's
Yeah,
this guy I bench with. He's a 500-pound bencher, raw.
yeah.
And we always like try to spot each other, but at some point, like he's like benching, like he's warming up with 275. We don't pay too close attention. Nobody thinks he's gonna fail. At some point, he fucking dropped the bar on his forehead. He lost a bit
Ouch.
of his eyebrow. Yeah, but that happened. He just had an off day. We
Yeah,
would
and that's what
never,
the die
like
roll is for.
exactly. Like you should have like you can have a chance of failure. Like sometime, like someday I just went to, you know, 400 pound on the bar for deadlift and fucking
Mhm.
can get it off of the ground. Normally I would be able to do that like when I wake up, like just like any time of the night. But
Yeah,
sometimes you're just like not feeling it. You just have like an off day, so you never know.
yeah,
Even
and
if you're
there's
competent.
there's no there's no automatic fix for that in
Hmm.
most things.
Hmm.
So if you're framing your reference all around there being an automatic fix for it,
Yeah.
you're not looking at reality.
But also there's like a question of like because of the reality side of thing, but there's also the side of thing that we're making up a story here, and
Yeah,
always
well,
like how does it serve the story? It's like
it's
yeah,
it's like you don't roll for driving a car
no,
most
but
of the time,
you
but
can still get in a random accident sometime.
and like if I was playing a game that was requiring me to drive a car
Hmm.
and I had that skill at a moderate proficiency, yeah, 90% of the time the DM shouldn't or the GM shouldn't ask me to roll a die, but I'm not going to throw a hissy fit because the DM asked me to roll one because it
Yeah,
might be my hand slipped on the steering wheel and I swerved into the wall.
yeah,
It might be the brake line ruptured somehow, or it might be another driver t-boned me at an intersection.
yeah, and that's something also like we
Like,
always say like, how does that serve the drama, how does it serve the story, and sometimes like that's something. If you think of a movie, sometimes that's something happen. Like the character like he needs to go somewhere fast, and he's doing his thing, he's doing everything right, like fast, but not so fast that he's driving like a maniac. He's driving normally, but then at
yeah,
some somebody T-bone them out of the blue. It's not his
yeah,
fault. It's not his failing. So now, do you have to roll for your character driving, but also for everybody else driving on the road?
no,
That's
but
that's where you come with like a random encounter kind of role.
yeah, but
So
you're playing a
maybe you don't
fucking
ask the
game.
player.
There are random
Yeah,
encounters.
exactly. Maybe you don't ask the player to roll like roll for driving. No, you driving there like a normal speed, not
Yeah.
trying to do anything. You're gonna get there unless something happened. So now
Hmm.
maybe you roll. That's where you can roll on a chart. Oh, you come out, there's a lot of fucking traffic, or oh, there's somebody just
Well,
fucking T-bone you out of the blue.
yeah.
Right?
Like say you had driving skill as a thing you rolled for,
Mm-hmm.
that that role would represent your ability to not get fucked up in that example, right? Like so your brake line bursts, but
Yeah,
you manage to stop the car and pull over to the side without hurting anyone in your vehicle
yeah,
or anyone else. That's what that role would represent.
yeah. Al was asking, what if a game is so simple that it doesn't need a custom sheet? And I'd like to expand on that as well. As
Yeah, but I I I would like to see that game. I've only ever seen one where you could fit your character's sheet on like a post-it note.
yeah, like
I've never seen one.
the fucking King of Spinner, what like a game like a total party skill, like don't include character sheet in the book.
Hmm.
But again, the rules are very simple, very light. So you have like just a few. Basically, you can just type it on yourself.
It's like a notepad, an inventory sheet,
Yeah,
right? You just
no, you have a few skill and stuff like that, but they're very
Mhm.
few, and you can like it wouldn't take long at all to write it down all by hand, and then you can
Yeah.
put it wherever you want. This,
Even I think no Morkborg has a character sheet,
yeah,
but there's a lot of world building in the art of that book,
yeah,
which I think a lot of game makers, that's the thing that makes that book so unique and well received is because
like
there's nothing demonstrated in that book that doesn't tell the story of that world.
oh yeah,
Like
you like Morkborg?
in concept, I'm not super um super intrigued with it's the apocalypse. There's nothing you can do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with Shauner. I want some, or not
Some
Shauner,
hope.
Shadow. I want
Yeah.
some ability to come out the other end,
Mm-hmm.
some progress. Um, but you could easily fix that in that world. You could
Yeah.
have winning an adventure be a negation to one of the apocalypse events instead of just nothing happens.
I wanted to show that here because, like, I often talk about like just making your character sheet by hand, but I wouldn't expect people to do that with WinterDarn because there's a lot of fiddly bit. It's a skill-based game. I got a whole lot
Mhm.
of skill there, uh, so that'll be too much for people to keep track by hand and be too hard
Even
to organize. So
even this, like there's a lot there. I understand that,
yeah,
but this doesn't tell me anything about the story or the world through
no,
its layout. It's
to
just
its layout,
too.
no, that's
Oh,
also a working document, but
yeah.
no, it doesn't. But like that's also the compromise as well because like
Hmm.
it doesn't tell anything about the world, but there's a lot of information to include.
Hmm.
So there's also this trade-off. No, what do you think?
Yeah. Like it's an
Oh, and
impressive.
also like yeah, also like it does tell you something about the gameplay because like this character sheet is it's landscape format, as you might have noticed.
Mhm.
It's made to be fold enough
Like
and
a book.
like a little booklet, a 4-page booklet.
Hmm.
But like if you're in combat, there's gonna be one page. If you're dealing with your inventory, there's gonna be one page. If like so, there's kind of like a thematic distinction, so you can just like
That's
turn
good.
around.
I like that.
Yeah,
It
yeah. So
limits confusion.
yeah, if you try to do something with your skill, all the skill on one page, all the so
Well, that's another thing. Like I hear people complaining about Magic users not not knowing their spells or knowing what their spells do or being able to pick a spell fast enough. It's like there's a very simple solution. Go back to that damn dollar store and pick up a little notebook
yeah,
and throw it at them and tell them to write their fucking spells down.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So and what's on the page should echo what's in the book, right? Um and it's very simple. If they're having trouble picking a spell, just open the book up. That's the spell they're casting.
mm-hmm.
You know, you know what your spells are when they're written down. If they're in a little book, they're not like scattered all over the place, or you're not looking at 6 or 7 of them at the same time trying to pick because you have to turn a page, and now the one that you just turned is out of your mind, right?
Yeah.
It's like a psychological framing thing.
But also when you write it down, you remember everything better.
Yeah, I never do.
You never do. Well,
Never do.
maybe it doesn't work with all of us.
Um,
But like yeah, so about the character sheet being so simple, but like I wanted to expand that question as well, and about
like I
because
like
you
that.
mentioned you talk a lot about like games that are should be 15 page. Is there like a point where like you say a game is too simple? There's not enough for me to sink my teeth there.
If there are so few rules, you don't know what the hell you're doing. It's too simple.
Yeah,
But
because we all see like those 1-page rules kind of game. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
and well,
one page
and
rules.
yeah, there's oftentimes like there's no games there.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, even the company one page rules, like
mhm,
those are primers
yeah.
to much larger books. They're usually 15 to 30 pages.
Hmm.
Um,
And
when
also like 1-page rules they're a war game, right?
yeah,
And the one page doesn't include the information for all the units and the special rules. It's
mhm,
designed by exception, so you just have like the very general rules that apply to everybody, but then everybody
yeah,
got like specific rules that apply to them.
yeah. I think there might be like this faction at the bottom or something like that.
Hmm.
It's a +1 to something or negative to something else, but I don't know. I have to go look through them. I've never actually read all their rules.
Mm.
I do know that all their rule sets have more complicated versions
Yeah.
that are more in depth and specific to factions. But
Mm.
like,
And also, therefore, war game, which is a much more focused activity than role playing.
yeah, focused, but it doesn't have to be.
What do you mean?
But okay, so wargaming does the exception rules so fucking more than role playing games does. I think thick books in war games are worse than thick books in role playing games
Yeah. Yeah.
because at that point you're like in because of its limit in scope of what you're doing, you're creating so many more exception rules
Yeah.
that like it's the thing that breaks every war game.
Yeah. I agree with that. That's why I'm saying like those one-page rule, therefore war game works because like we have both. You have like the one-page rule got to do like, and they're usually well received, well reviewed, like those
Yeah,
one-page rule for war game. But then you have like on the other side, like a lot of people were saying like those one-page RPGs, and those are not really usually so well
I've never
received.
seen any,
Or you never seen
but
any? It was a
I
big
don't. I
trend at
don't
some
really
point.
look
You'd see them on Reddit, so it give you kind of time that kind of a vibe of that they have.
now. I could kind of see it
Yeah,
if
yeah. You ever like
you're super limiting the scope of what you're role playing. Like I could see that, like
oh, there
maybe
you go.
not
Like
one page, but
L mentioned it. Uneiced is one, and that's I think it's the same system, if we can call it that, of a laser and feeling, where you have two stat, laser
okay.
and feeling, and you roll one or the other. You roll the other. It's like a sci-fi game. Either you shoot something or you try to emote with something. So everything is reduced to
Okay.
those two stats. And at some point, say, okay, I see
Yeah.
what you're trying to do there, but
I could kind of see that if it was like once again a one shot. Now when I
mhm,
say one shot, I take it literally. I mean one session, one 4 to 6 hour session, not
yeah,
like we're gonna do this weekend, the next weekend, then try to wrap things up the weekend after. You know, that's a mini campaign.
yeah,
One shot
one,
is one session for
one
me.
session, but yeah,
Yeah.
and then and also like not like a
You're all frozen and shit. It is a fairly normal looking face this time, though, so we can't really make fun of them. Someone
go back.
draw something on. Oh, okay, you're back.
Yeah, sorry.
I was trying to convince people to screenshot and draw shit
Nah,
on your
stop
face.
doing that, man. I'm gonna have better internet when I move. I hope. I
Lies.
see. Yeah, well, it's Canada, you know it is. If you're not a big city, you might as well be in the third world. And if you're in the city
uh,
too, but for different
you
reasons.
are in the third world.
Yeah.
Well, the third world's in here with you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like third world population or third world infrastructure. We have to pick our battle.
Mm,
Yeah.
but no.
Yeah, so you were saying about like yeah, those one page rule, would that be like too light for you? You know, you saying like do you have anything to sink your teeth in? Or it just become like, well, no,
No,
I might as well like no
I would
rules at
be
all.
I would end up adding to those in a
Mm.
heartbeat, you know.
Because that's often like the challenge with the rule lights game as well.
Now, if
Like
you told me,
sometimes I say like, oh, a game is so often people like call like rule lights game and just say it's not rule light, it's just like half designed, and then
yeah,
you let the rest of the design to the GM. You know, you
i-
just don't have rules for anything.
yeah, if you
So the
told me you had one page character creation or one page
yeah,
combat solution or one page like yeah, maybe one page is a little much for some of those things, but one page whole game, no,
one
there's
page stealth mechanic,
no. You gotta.
one
That's
page lighting campfire resolution.
uh,
That'd be too much.
that would be too much. With character creation in one page, you're probably looking. It probably take some writing, but you could probably do that good. I don't know how many pages you got character creation on,
Oh,
minus racial and national flavor.
yeah, well, I'm doing like a life trait, life path
Mm,
kind of character creation. That takes a lot of space because everything's like, well, now pick a profession that you did before, and then like you have like a bunch of
yeah,
them.
but like the
So,
list of professions wouldn't be on that for me. That would be reference list on page, and then fill in
oh
number.
then it's just like well, you pick your race, sub race, your origin, some life event, and occupation. That's all. That's the whole rules of the character creation. There's no
Yeah, so like a paragraph or two,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then some art, some
and
nice
then some
art.
art, but art doesn't
Yeah,
count in the page count.
no, no.
But then yeah, then it's the list,
Mhm.
and those take a bunch of plays, but there's not much rule,
Well,
and every time you pick, like if you pick a race, you say, well, then you can pick those origin from that race, and
yeah,
so you just follow the path.
yeah,
Yeah,
because like the good thing about knowing
yeah,
that fundamentally, which I don't think anyone at Wizards of the Coast does, um, you can change that list of options,
yeah,
and the game changes,
yep,
right? Like if you have like blacksmith, carpenter, baker,
yeah,
you're talking a medieval game,
yeah.
but that could easily be replaced with laser technician,
Barista, yeah,
well, barista.
HR department.
well, I don't think you'd have laser technician and HR department in the same game. Oh
No,
boy.
you think both cannot coexist?
Yeah. Well, in a decent world, the laser technician will shoot the HR department.
But in our world, if we have
Yeah.
like HR department, we won't be able to ever have like laser technician.
Yeah, exactly. One prevents the birth of the other, and the other
Yeah,
destroys. Uh, but you know what I mean? Like you could
yeah,
easily replace that, and it becomes a different like
yeah.
that's setting
How
as
do
far as
you
I'm concerned.
autistic paladin?
Mm.
Yeah, those like modern whatsy autistic paladin, wheelchair barbarian. Yeah, exactly. HR department, not my kind of horror game. That's a bit too much. That's where I throw my X card. You
Uh,
have to see the HR. No.
I
Uh,
dare you. I dare you when you're done this game to write that game.
no, no. No, no. After I'm done WinterDarn, I'm gonna write. I'm writing a biker game. That's the next one I'm writing.
Mm.
Yeah, which is gonna be very different, much more rule lights. But
But HR will be a class in that game. They
how do you
have
feel?
it, right? You have your chapter head and your
No, is it because like there's no woman in biker gang, so there's no HR.
there are women in biker games.
Well, they don't. They're not in the gang. They're
They're
just like
called
separately.
antagonists.
But how do you feel about like because I'm also like, and I think I was talking about that with in the Black Lodge game chat the other day. Like I don't like. They were saying
Uh,
like, oh, games book.
was
I
I in
want
that
them to
chat?
have a good setting. What?
Was I in that chat?
You often there? I think you were. But they're
There's
saying like, oh, I want the setting to be there. And I say I fucking hate setting in books, in rules books, because most of them sucks, and so I'm gonna rip them anyway because like they're not thought through. Just like they just add like fucking bunch of crap that don't make sense together.
that.
Like
I think
once as soon as you think about a bit.
that is the most important thing of a book you're buying, though. The setting.
Not really.
Yeah,
I'm very about the mechanics. I don't
yeah.
care about your
Well,
fancy setting.
I think
Well, well, like
especially
let's be like the generic setting. Like I like
that's what I say.
I don't like generic mechanics. I want it to be an implied setting, an implicit setting. I don't want to be an explicit setting.
Have
If
you
you
ever
get
looked at
what
the
I mean.
Morkborg book?
No, yeah,
You should. It's free on their website.
I would be afraid to become blind.
Yeah, it is very
It's,
yellow.
it's very
Hey,
aggressively yellow.
Ungar.
Oh, hello, Angar. But
This is a short video for Mr. Max. You'll be able to watch it in like a week or so.
no, what I'm saying is like I like when there's like an implicit setting, not an explicit setting, in the sense that I
Mhm.
want your games mechanics, your rules, to tell me about the setting. I don't want you to write pages and pages and fluff and oh, this is who the ruler is and this is what they do in that country and
Oh
in
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
place. Like don't like I always say, don't
No,
fucking
that's
tell
for
me a
your
story.
novels, man. That's
Yeah,
for your
exactly.
game theory
Exactly.
novels.
Don't tell me a story. Don't like I'm not there like to for you to like your world is not that cool. Your world, and if you think you're
Mm,
trying to make your world very unique and very like it's not. What makes a world interesting is the character in that world, and the
yeah.
character in that world is gonna be the player in that game. So just give me like a I don't know how you feel about that. Like do you feel like it's always something like the all those story in like the World of Darkness with the meta plot. Meta plot, I guess that's what I'm opposed to. I
Yeah.
hate that.
Uh, meta plot, yes, I agree with you. But no, I think the world should, like, you're buying a book, it should come with a world, it should be a consistent world. And because that's my big problem with the OSR, or like people that buy a lot of role playing games that are just the same system.
Yeah.
Like, why are you buying that and then not playing the world that comes with it? Because that's the only thing that's different.
That I would agree because like I always say like OSR game like people say oh there's too many OSR game and I think that's fair as well. There's too many OSR game, and especially like some of them is just like oh it's the same fucking game but just like with my two change in the rules because I didn't like this
Yeah.
my two little change that I homebrew.
And
But
then my own
OSR
campaign.
games should be seen as setting books basically, and
Mhm.
because the rules of OSR game just fit on about 12 page, you might as well just include them in your setting book, so people
Mhm.
can just need to know the one book to, and then if you want to do a one change there, that's fair. Like, that's why like a basic expert project of McQuittle. I find it's
McQuiddle.
interesting because
It's a
that's
setting book.
it's a setting book. There's some
Yeah.
change in the rules, but it's the
But
setting but
thematic
it's
ones.
interesting as say it's interesting enough thematically to be worth publishing another book. But if
Yeah.
you just do like another OSR that is just again medieval fantasy, then yeah, maybe I don't care. Maybe I have enough of those.
Like, what's the point of buying a book, stripping away its unique setting,
Hmm.
to end up with the rules you pretty much already have, to put a unique campaign on it, and then 6 months to a year later buying another book, stripping away its
Yep.
unique setting to have basically the same rules and to put a unique campaign onto it. Like,
But that's why I'm interested in mechanics. That's why I say like I like books with different like I don't want setting, I want mechanics. They give me different mechanics and
yeah,
have your
and
mechanics tell me about the world. If you just like like D&D, the example I often use D&D and Warhammer Fantasy.
mhm,
On the outset, the setting are usually fairly similar. You know what I mean? But if you were to strip all setting and just play the game, read the books, and play the game by the rules, you would play differently, and the setting you would
mhm,
come up with would be different because the rules are different enough and it imply a different setting. Like
mhm,
Warhammer Fantasy imply a more bleaker setting because it's more deadly, because you get those big injury, because of that. So you would expect to see that in the world. I think
yeah,
you get what I mean. That's what I want to see. I want your rules to tell me about the world,
yeah.
uh,
I
more
can
than
kind of
just
say,
like having some fluff.
well, like I told you in that chat that inspired this one,
Mm.
I really don't care as long as the rules are consistent and they're not getting in the way of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's because I have more important things to care about in life. Most people don't.
Yeah,
Uh, you
I
know,
don't.
well, 99.999% of people do work that has no real meaning. Right? Like your work was a rigger for video games.
Yeah.
That's a luxury thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
And I wanted to build on chicken coop.
yeah, that's got real world stuff, but it's not
Yeah.
like deep thought, right?
Nope.
Um, and you know a bit about what I do. I don't know. I'm not going to go into it here,
Not too
but
much. I just know you're a deep thinker that do important stuff for the CIA.
yeah, no, uh, no, not
I
no,
know you're a spy.
no, no. But I wish I was a spy. They get paid more. But when I'm sitting down at a table playing a freaking game, all
Yeah.
I ask for is goddamn consistency in the goddamn rules. If you can provide me that,
Yeah.
and I don't have to spend a month learning the fucking things, those
Yeah.
are the two things I ask.
I know, like Battle games. I think setting and mechanics inform each other
Mm-hmm.
ideally, but that's because I know like Black Lodge Game was a big fan of Vampire as well, and
Yeah,
that was one thing in the first edition of Vampire that was always annoyed the creator, and they talked about it, the creators, and they talked about it that that the people playing Vampire, like it was supposed to be like this it's intense emotional drama and your torture and like you're like with your existence and all like this fucking gay stuff there,
like
but then people would just play like
Forever
a
Night.
superhero game. Hmm?
Yeah, like Forever Night. Remember
I don't know
Forever
what that
Night?
is.
No, okay, it was a TV show. Fuck me,
I,
no Canadian culture whatsoever. There's a Canadian show.
I tell you, I don't watch TV.
Yeah, but never in your life.
No, not really. No,
This guy, I don't
boring.
know. I don't know where he comes from.
I come from the Stone Age.
Um,
but uh but yeah, people would just like, because like now like, oh, I'm supposed to be like this emotionally torture guy, but like the mechanics
yeah.
don't support that. I always like, I've all those power. Yeah, I'm see a guy, like I'm gonna fucking rip his throat off, and then we're gonna go and
Mhm.
fight, and then we're just gonna be throwing our power at each other and stuff like that. So
If
I
you
think
want to
that's an
do,
example of like a mechanics not informing setting
if you want to do a
or
game
theme.
with emotionally tortured characters, they shouldn't
Yeah.
have an extensive list of powers. It shouldn't even be in the book. Is he frozen again? This time he's stoically frozen.
No, I'm not frozen. I'm listening.
Oh yeah, yeah. There shouldn't be a whole list of powers and abilities if you're going into an emotional setting, right? Like if
Mhm.
I'm playing the aforementioned Jane Austen book, I'm not expecting spellcraft and fucking
No.
sorcery in that book. I'm expecting people to select an emotional state on the gambit and play that.
Yeah.
You
Guardian of
know,
the Rune say Simbarum setting is conveyed in all the mechanics. If you want Berserker Rage, it talks about the Rat Guard. Unfortunately, the system is usually not well received. It's been a while since I checked that. I remember I didn't like it back in the day when I read it. I didn't like the setting because there was like this bus babe queen,
I don't know
and
what that means.
it means
Buzz
it's a
bait,
bus babe. You know what a bus babe is?
buzz babe, like a babe, an attractive chick.
No, like those female bus, that are like active and stuff like that. And now she was the queen ruling
Oh,
the, yeah,
boss.
bus. Yeah.
Yeah, B, not Z.
No, yeah, yeah. B bus babe.
Okay.
So that I don't like that.
Yeah.
And then also it's a player facing like, oh, the GM don't role, and that annoys me as well. And there was like this
Harassment.
oh, you can name your attribute whatever you want. It doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. There was like this kind of like flexibility I didn't like. But
If you can
yeah,
come up with an attribute and name it. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
exactly.
you got to give
Yeah.
me some framework. Like, that's the flavor of the world, naming the attributes, right? Like
Yeah.
right, like
Hmm.
we were saying earlier about the stonemason and the baker and whatnot in your medieval world. Like that's the flavor of the world. You're naming the world through the things you're capable of doing. You're not naming the world through story. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bleaker say everyone said they want rules, easy rules to learn quick. Yet everyone play 14,000 different RPG games and learn all those rules, and they're still never happy with any rules.
Yeah,
Well, people like I think Flame Zombie say reply here like, oh, people hopping from OSR to OSR game, 5e clone to 5e clone. Yeah, exactly. That's what happened
yeah.
oftentimes.
Like you're playing the
So,
same fucking game, so
yeah, yeah,
like I
just
think
with the
that's why James is so happy with Warhammer these days
yeah.
because it's like a fresh breath of fresh air, right? It's actually a different game.
Mm. Oh, L say L make a good point here too. I like Bleak. He replied to Bleak. I don't try to play every TTRPG like this amateur game designer. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like to play different game, and I like to read different game, even those that I don't plan on playing.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have like an interest in game design, so that's a
You
fair
see,
point.
where I don't like reading the books. That's why I
Yeah,
don't read the books.
yeah,
Uh, if you enjoy reading technical manuals,
yeah.
I would recommend the instructions on how to build a washer and drying unit because you'll actually have a skill after that.
No, well
You'll
that's
have
the thing.
leveled up, motherfucker.
That's the thing. I like reading. I find like a RPG or an interesting challenge, intellectual challenge, in the sense that you try to simulate a world, but
Mhm.
you also you need some complexity, you need some deep rules, deep mechanics that are interesting and engaging, that can
Mhm.
simulate a world, but also that are simple enough that people can remember them in their head and understand them and interact with them in gameplay that is like efficient and quick. And so it's there's all like this trade-off and this like balance that you need to find, and everybody like put this balance at different place. And
Yeah.
I find that's an interesting problem to solve, trying to simulate a world, trying to have those story, those drama that emerge, but also doing it in a way that's big. If you do it in a computer, if you do like game design in a video game, and I used to be in the video game industry, if you do like
Hmm.
in the video game, you don't have the same limitation because the computer is going to do all the calculations. So you can make things like very complex and fine detail and stuff like that. People don't have to learn the rules. When you bring
Hmm.
it back to paper, it becomes like this very interesting puzzle for me, for my autistic mind.
Yeah. You like that? Fuck, what was that game called? The Dark Souls.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're going on about that game and how it
big
should
fan
have
of Dark
been
Souls.
more. Should have been more
Yeah.
about the story and not about the replication of all the.
Oh no, what I was saying is like the Dark Soul RPG they made, they went on 5e in
Oh, that they
that was a
ripped
mistake.
the five
Yeah,
e 5e
yeah,
system.
they use the 5e system. It's just not the right system for Dark Soul.
Yeah.
Black Lodge Vampires rules are not good for playing emotional wreck. They are okay for playing a dark supernatural mafia game, but that wasn't the intent of the author. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
that's why I was going on about not putting those powers in there
yeah,
in the first place.
or putting them, but put a real cost to them that that
Mhm.
need you to sacrifice something anyway. Yeah.
What
Guardian
was
said, but the world building is explained in great detail in the campaign. So if you don't care about the game system and the campaign that is told in an extended timeline, I assume I don't know what he's talking about there. Like I lost time, skip some of this chat. I don't know if he's talking about Vampire or about the Symbaroum again. Sorry, can would you sing would you sing, Justin?
I lost
Yep.
my train
Man,
of thought as well. I'm
you
really
gotta
bad
think.
for that. It's why I don't do direct work anymore. But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Uh, but no. Also, like defining the difference between a rule and a mechanic. 'Cause I think that this is one of the problems newer players have is that these aren't like a mechanic is how a rule interacts with the story. Do you use it that way? Because not everybody uses this term the same way.
I pretty much use well, I use for me mechanics is something that like there's something algorithmic about it. You know, it's a
Mm.
rules, but that it's not a rules that is arbitrary. You know what I mean? It's not just like a if you say like dwarf cannot be wizard, that's not a mechanics, that's a rule. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no mechanical reason really for it. You know, if you say if you say to climb a cliff, you need to roll 5 times the height, whatever. You know, you can move
Hmm.
or you whatever, something like that. Then you're turning into mechanics.
Hmm.
That's how the difference I would make. Would that make sense to you?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Black Lodge was saying here, like the only thing that interests me in an OSR game at this point is that it has good setting. Maquitol is a good example of the setting and mechanics being well matched well.
Oh,
Uh,
what was that? What was that book you mentioned earlier? Uh, Old School Essentials.
no, I didn't mention Local Essential. I mentioned Burning Wheel. What else did I mention?
No, I think it came on
An
passing.
OSR game?
This guy has freaking
Simbarum?
Old School Essentials at his freaking fingertips at all times, so I know it's his favorite book.
No, but
Uh,
I wanted to say about something
Assuming this
about
is the redheaded one and not the skinny one.
I guess it is Ginger Fraser. But
Yeah. Have they already brought Fraser back, or is
I
that
don't know.
still yet to come out? Because they're bringing that back.
I just know the name. I never watched it yet. But
It's on your wall.
what was I about to say? Yeah, in Makoto, there's like
Yeah. Have
just
you
this
backed
one
it?
thing. I did back it. Yeah, I'm also like I'm friendly with John as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
but so that's a disclaimer. But I backed it also because I thought it was interesting. But one thing I
Yeah.
find interesting is like the fact
All you
that just
slackers out there should back it.
yeah, just yeah, just this one thing that one change. You know, I made a video back then like about like games with mechanics that change the games. You know, that change the way the
Mm-hmm.
game is played. And like I talk about Torchbearer with the condition. Every time you make a check, every time you make a roll, you gain a condition. And condition go like from being tired, being hungry and thirsty, and being injured, being sick,
Mm-hmm.
being and the last one is like being dead. You know, so every time you make a condition, it's gonna cost you something. So now you have to figure out a way to do stuff without basically exerting yourself, like doing stuff in a way that the GM won't ask you for a check.
Mm-hmm.
And just this one rules there change the way that you approach the game. And I think in Makuto there's like this rule as well that change the way you approach the game. And it's the instead of doing like gold for XP, it's
Oh,
slave for XP.
yeah.
So you have to capture people to gain status, which will may allow you to rate in your class. But just this one change the way that you approach the game. It forces you to think in different terms because now you want to subdue people, you want to capture them. You know, you don't want to just route
Yeah.
them. And also also the thing is what about to say? Oh yeah, the status can be like the slave basically. They can be
Mm-hmm.
traded to gain equipment because they're like the money, but they can or traded for experience. So it's a trade-off as well. Do you want to improve your weapon or do you want to gain a level? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I think this makes it different enough for SR on top of the setting that now okay, now I'm interested. Now you're just not another OSR.
Yeah.
What do you
I haven't actually looked at the rules beyond listening to uh, the Diversity and Dragons interview on it and hearing a
Sorry?
few things here. He went on Diversity and Dragons and did
Yeah.
a
Yeah, I think I watched it. Yeah.
yeah, and then a few things here and there. But it seems like a good game.
Yeah.
Um.
I got the an advanced PDF, so
Oh.
I got to read through it already.
Oh. Okay. So I'll take your word. the person I trust the least because he doesn't freaking read any of the insulting comments I put on his wall.
On my wall?
Yeah, I'm the one writing those there. That's my head cannon. You
Oh
stand at the
yeah.
wall.
Oh
I'm gonna
yeah,
tell you
the one that
earlier.
I stare. Yeah. Well, I need to keep myself humble because when you're
Yeah.
me, you need something.
When you're me. You're not half the Adonis I am. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Look
That's
at
why
me.
you. That's why you don't show your
Look,
face.
look into the picture of my eyes.
Well, you got eyes. You just look like black hole.
Yeah, the same thing.
They're the
Look.
window to the soul. Says a lot about you.
Mm.
Yeah. Flame Zombie say many classes are titles that are supposed
Hey,
to be
his name
earned.
is
Yeah,
magical.
it's the whole thing about like level 1 fighter is a veteran. You don't like
Yeah,
you went
yeah.
that route, and I'm okay with it. It doesn't bother me at all.
In Quetzalcoatl, he does the
Makoitl.
Macoitl.
Yep.
Don't do that. Speak freaking worse than demon languages. It's foreign tongue. In foreign tongue, he does the level 1 as veteran.
Yeah. Well, that's very OSR as well. The level
Yeah.
1 fighter is like his level name was veteran. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's very
Yeah.
old school. People forget that, but it's very old school. Yeah,
It's
but
before my time.
yeah.
Um, I don't know. It depends on what you're qualifying as a veteran. Like a person that doesn't run from battle, or like a person
Well,
who's
like
super skilled in the concept.
in our circle, you look like people like DM James is a veteran,
Yeah.
Baron G Rock is a veteran, Max Liao is a veteran. All those folks. What do we
Mhm.
consider veteran? I don't want to say like anything about their service or whatever or how long they serve, but
Okay.
they're they'll be considered veteran. They're military training, and
Mhm.
maybe some of them went seen some action. I don't know. So you don't need to be what's his fucking name? Jack Bohr, I guess. Would it be one fictional character that people relate to?
Yeah.
I'm
Damn
trying to
you.
pretend I have like knowledge of yeah.
You're the one that brought up the TV show or the movie reference in the first place.
I'm trying to appear like half normal.
Well, that's another thing that like I don't know. I haven't heard Shauner say this directly, but I've heard people say Shauner says this. And I want to be truthful because I believe in the truth. Um, that he takes the analogy of like a movie, like you said
Hmm.
earlier, like 2 hours ago, earlier. Um, that you're picturing like a movie in your mind, the flow of things.
Yeah,
Takes that analogy to be deliberate and tries to do that. I don't know if he does. This is what people have told me. Um, but no, the camera is your eyeballs.
yeah. That's something I talked about as well. I agree with that. Yeah,
It's not a third person's perspective, right? You're not there to make a movie for your game master, right?
yeah,
You're not there uh, doing a live read of a script, right? You're the writing room, if anything, in that analogy,
yeah. Like
right?
it's like you make a movie, like it's the mindscape. You make a movie
Yeah,
from the viewpoint of your character in your mind. In your head.
yeah,
Still like opening the curtain behind me.
yeah. There's a little. You
Yeah, a
can't make
little light
anything out.
leaking. Yeah.
No, nobody's gonna see the reflection of your monitor and your symbols.
But yeah, so yeah, like you kind of play a movie in your head, but it's like kind of when you're remembering stuff, you see
Mhm.
that from your point of view, from your perspective. And that's something like when sometimes like people describe like stuff in the game, with like a GM do like, oh, the camera zoom and or like the camera pan and stuff like that, or like it fucking take me out of it
No,
because like there's
because
no fucking camera. It's like the only camera is like the fucking eyes of my character, and I'm seeing through that, you know. And in my own head, I create my mindscape from what I see from the description and stuff like that.
yeah,
And if you keep feeding me information, I can keep like feeding this mindscape and evolving the scene that I see.
like with the lamp or the light source
Yeah,
earlier.
exactly. But every one of us is gonna have like a point of view different, slightly
Yeah.
different. I mean, but yeah, that I agree with you. It's not a movie. There's no director. There's no external camera and stuff like that. But you do kind of create a movie for yourself in your head
Mhm.
through the eyes of your character. I think that's fair to say.
Even in a game about making TV shows,
I hate those.
you should not do that.
Yeah.
No,
Well.
I could see playing a game where you're actors.
Oh well, yeah. But like I was talking about like you know, you take a game like Cortex Prime, for example, which is like the guy like the guy that wrote that, he got that severe case of the TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
TDS. But
Means slightly different things to me than it does.
well, yeah, it goes both way. Let's just say that. But
Mm.
anyway, we can talk about it another day. But off stream,
I'm
like
just saying,
he wrote
there
the. Hmm?
there are two kinds of people you don't want sitting at your table, and those are people who absolutely hate Trump and
Yeah,
people who
I
absolutely
absolutely
love
love
him.
him. Yeah, I agree. But like he write his book and everything is written with the language of cinema, and it gives you the impression,
Mm.
and even then he said a thing in the book, even say like it's not like you're trying to simulate a world, you're trying to recreate a TV show, a TV series. It's like, man, like get away from your screen, go live your life a little, and then
Mhm.
try to simulate a world, simulate a different life, you know what I mean? But it's not like, oh, you're in the scene and the GM is called the director, and then and then you can do a zoom in and a cut. There's all like those mechanic name with like TV fucking reference. I said, man, how big of a faggot can you be? You know, it's like get off the screen. Stop living your life to TV.
It's
Uh,
someone who doesn't understand the concept of an analogy
yeah,
and takes it literally.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Black Lodge was saying a timeline in the core book can be very good. Expanding the meta plot from supplement to supplement just pisses me off.
Mhm.
Timeline, like I said, like, you know, what bothers me what I don't like meta plot is like we're telling the story of those characters. I don't want them to be in the shadow of this meta plot. You know, I don't want them to
Yeah.
be when you have like this meta plot and you have like those beat point that you want to reach. How much of railroading
Well,
will you get? You know, like at some
there
point.
there is there is in Morkborg a meta plot.
Hmm.
It's the end of days.
Yeah, but there's no beat like, oh, like, and then at this point like this gang gonna do that. You know,
No,
it's not projected in the future like that. No.
if you finish, like, there's like a structure you can do, like, say the minimum, we'll do that, is every time you do like one of the dungeons or the events or whatever your quests, you got to roll to see what apocalyptic event is happening, and then first thing,
First thing to change is all the female ruler into men.
yeah. Yeah,
Well,
well,
they're
uh,
basically men. They're written like men. You just have to make their gender,
sometimes,
their
like,
sex accordingly.
I have no problem with there being female rulers because there have been, like,
Sim. I'm kidding.
there I don't remember her name, but there was this one I remember from Engineering an Empire with
Yeah.
Peter Weller on the History Channel, after it was the Hitler channel but before it was the Alien channel.
You gonna tell me about Queen Boudica?
No, it was a Hellenistic queen, and
Oh,
she was exiled from wherever she was from, and she like went to her cousin's land and asked for some land, and she was like, I want all the land within the edges of this cow skin, right? And he's like, okay, so she had one of her guys cut it into like a shoelace thin strip, and it eventually encompassed the length of like a city state. So she got that land, and that's where we get the apartment building from, because she had so little land that she had to
Yeah.
build up.
Oh, I see.
Uh, yeah,
But oftentimes, like those, like are those are just story. That's the thing too. They're just like
yeah, but assuming that this person was real, like,
assuming. That's a big yeah.
yeah, like
Anyway,
I
that's
assume some people, like, there are
I'm
female
an old
rulers that through
misogynist,
history.
so that's
Or so am I. All the female rulers are the worst ones that ever existed,
yeah,
but
and
they
like
do
that's the thing.
exist.
Like I'm not against them existing. I'm just like it's just like I oftentimes like they want to write strong female character. They just write like male character and give them tits. You know what I mean? Just like
Yeah,
that's how it is.
well, like, look at the story I just told.
Yeah,
She's fucking conniving and
yeah,
scheming and generally being female.
yeah. Elle say mechanic is how Rook interact with the map, and then he corrected himself saying that he meant Rook, and then he finally said it meant rule.
He's on a cell phone, so I'm not worried
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
it's okay. It's just funny because he corrected himself for the same thing. But yeah, mechanics is how
I've done
rules
that, so.
interact with the map. I think that's a funny way to put it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Petal Throne or Tekunel, I don't know. I don't know either of them.
neither
It's a
do
bit
I.
before my time. Yeah. OSC enjoyer for sure. Yeah. See you, Flame Zombie. We'll talk on Thursday on Dice and Design. He's probably gone by
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
I'll be on the chat. Yeah.
Uh,
This 10 delay is very smooth. 10 minutes. Oh, I'm just behind on chat. It's not a delay on chat. I'm just like way behind. I need to scroll back down. Yeah.
30-minute delay. No, 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 no. You think it's long with Mr. Max doing one of these on his own? With me here,
Is Mr. Max sitting in a closet or is his room just empty? You have to stay until the end for you have your comment. Is Mr. Max sitting in the closet or is his room just empty now because he sold his weapon and workout bench? No, is actually I just put black curtain behind. Or else say that here. Just because like this is my office as well, and oftentimes like I have like I have stuff behind me, and oftentimes like I had tools that would came in or go out from maintenance, and I got a big shelf there because the door is just right there.
Mhm.
And I always like to clean the shelf before streaming, otherwise you would see all the crap I have.
Yeah,
Plus,
the
we don't.
14 copies of Mein Kampf.
Yeah, exactly. Well, every time they put a new edition out, I kind of have to have it. I kind of need to eat it. Yeah.
I still say the Ford edition is one of the better ones.
The Ford, yeah, best like because German books are hard to translate because of the German way to write. So I would say go with Ford as well. That's quite a tangent. I have to go walk the dog. Yeah, I think we're gonna about to wrap up. Oh, like
I was
say like
expecting to wrap
MJ.
up an hour and a half ago. So
Yeah, well, you keep talking. Wasn't I have to do comments. The content now. The content is over. We're gonna go to the chat.
I'll sit here and eat my bowl of peas.
You bowl of peas? Is that what you're eating?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of I can because not too much carb, but like that's what when I watch TV I would eat peas. Green peas. The purple air trans guy that worked data entry position in the army will be calling themselves veteran years. Yeah, exactly. Years from now, and technically they would be right, but that's how the ways goes. Doesn't understand the analogy, Garabe. I haven't watched that. Like the only Garabe content I've watched is when people like do reaction video to him, and now he's kind of out of the loop. So
Yeah.
go in the room and say combat in RPG. Yeah, sorry, yeah, Sego.
Oh, I was gonna say, I consider Shauner. I like most of what Shauner has to say, but I consider Shauner and Garaby two sides of the same coin.
Oh,
They're
really?
fucking fanatical about their opinion on, like, Shauner hates fucking D&D. It's Satan to him. And Garaby, he worships at the chode ball
But
We'll see.
I'll tell you one thing. Like I said, like I haven't watched much Garabay at all. But Shonner, I think, is honest. He's
Yeah,
authentic and then genuine. Garabay, I don't think he is. I think
but
Garabay is
that's
doing
the
the shield
opposite,
thing.
right?
I guess
That's
okay, you can see that. You can see that.
two sides of the same coin.
Yeah, okay, if you want. But yeah, they're both like there's nothing wrong with knowing what you like and what you don't like and being fanatical
Mhm.
about it if that's what you want. I don't know. I don't care. It's just like a fucking hobby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. We do that
Well,
for fun.
that's another thing. Like putting too much energy into a fakeness, right? Like you can like role playing games, but fundamentally it's play pretend.
Yeah.
Like being fanatical about it is.
Yeah, I mentioned that before. I said like we're forced to be tolerant of so much things that we shouldn't be, that we shouldn't
Mhm,
accept. That now we get like fanatical about stuff that doesn't matter. We
mhm.
compensate otherwise. I think that's my theory anyway.
Yeah.
Guardian of the Runes, the combat in RPG really is like reading a book as opposed to a movie. That's why young people don't like rule as written. Yeah, some games are more cinematic than other.
Yeah.
But when I say like, it's not like the experience of playing the game. That's not what I'm saying. Is like a watch. It's like a movie. I'm saying and even when you read a book, you could say that you picture the image in your mind. It's like you even reading a book is you kind of make the movie in your mind in a sense. You know what I mean? At least that's how I do. I don't know. Maybe I'm just the weird weirdo, the lone weirdo there.
I'm
But
just
isn't that
saying,
what you
for a
do?
guy that doesn't watch a lot of movies, he makes
I
it
make my own
well.
movie in my mind. That's why I don't watch them. I don't
Yeah.
need you to put image in my mind. I can put my own image there.
Yeah. There's a word for that, right?
Yeah.
Psychosis.
Oh, maybe. Yeah.
No, I'm just fuck with you.
If you're going to have a meta plot, bring it forward with the characters.
Hmm. If
But then why you have a meta plot in advance? That's just having a plot then that evolve with
mm,
the game. No, that's what I think anyway. What do you think?
I think trying to tell a great one or chosen one story with role playing games
Yeah.
is stupid.
Well, I
Full
hate
stop.
those
Period.
chosen one story anyway.
Mhm.
I think
They work sometimes, right? They work sometimes. Like I like the sort of Star Wars esque how the chosen one was actually not the chosen one.
yeah. Or like
You
in
know,
Doom, like
yeah,
is Spawn
Doom,
what is the
Doom.
chosen one? Not really, because it's the result of like generation of genetic engineering. It doesn't come out of the blue like chosen
He
one. Like it's
he's
been
not
built.
even because if you pay attention,
Yeah.
he was supposed to be born a girl
Yeah.
because the Bene Gesserit can choose,
To marry him with Fedruta.
and their son was supposed to be the chosen one.
Yeah.
And God forbid what that world would have looked like.
Well, it's kind of the son of isn't it the son of Paul that kind of became the chosen one in the end? Anyway, I only acknowledge the first book. I shouldn't even talk about the
Yeah,
fucking rest. But
I think it was the universe trying to correct that error or something like that, but it doesn't work properly.
I think it was like Frank Herbert that wrote an amazing book by accident, but didn't like what people took from the book, and then tried
Yeah.
to then he spent like fucking 4 other books trying to correct it, or 5 other books trying to correct it and undo the first book.
Mhm.
Like, no, it was all a cautionary tale about charismatic leader. No, it was about all charismatic leader are awesome, and that's what
There's
we
a
need.
reason why the masses love a charismatic leader.
Yeah,
We need one as a people. We need a
exactly.
guiding voice and a guiding light. That's
Yep,
that's the purpose of the Catholic Church or the
yep.
church period is to put
It used to be.
guidance in society. There's a word
Yep.
for when your society doesn't have defining guidance: chaos,
Yeah.
anarchy.
Civilization, barbarism. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in
No,
barbarism,
even
you have like
barbarians have
even
fucking.
barbarian have leader. Yeah. But no, it's you're
You're
fallen
below
society when you don't have
barbarian.
you're a fallen society and a failed
Yeah.
society when you don't have a leader. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Guardian of the Rune said there shouldn't be a meta plot greater than the players, so the world shouldn't only change. No. The world should exist for its own sake. What I'm saying, the meta plot, like, but that's, there's a background events happening. The meta plot is like, oh, those events are gonna happen. This is the
Yeah.
timeline of what's gonna happen as the player play. Like in
Like,
this year, this thing's gonna happen. I'm a big fan of Pendragon, but they have like this great Pendragon campaign that, and I usually like I'll just ignore it and just like
mhm,
we just use a system of Pendragon to play knights in this kind of time period, human knights in this kind of but because they do that, oh, in the year 485 this is the event that's gonna happen. In the year 486, I don't care much for that, like
I understand if you're a game master. Like, one of the reasons why I mentioned the calendar is so you can do that. But it shouldn't be like radical events, right? Like,
yeah. Oh,
on June the 7th, um, the cult of the blood moon is going to raise the demon, whatever.
yeah,
Um, and if your party finds out about that and they try and stop it, right? They have to fight a bunch of cultists. If they don't find out about it, there's now a demon that's fatted on a bunch of cultists
yeah,
wandering the village side that your party now has to deal
yeah.
with.
But this also has to be adapted with your party and stuff like that, and that brings back
Yeah,
to the calendar. Oh, like Charlotte says, yeah, like the only use I found for metaplot is for the timeline or calendar we're talking about earlier. Don't force it on the player. Yeah,
yeah,
and because like I say, like there's events that can happen in the world that keep the world alive, and I always often say
yeah,
that the world doesn't exist just for the sake of the character.
yeah,
But like I don't want the game to force me to go to this story. Like,
mhm,
if I have to put something on a story, that's what I would put. Don't fucking tell me a story.
yeah,
Stop trying to tell me a story. I don't want to fucking hear your fucking story. I want to create one with the player at the table.
yeah.
Yeah,
Now, like, if you're creating a calendar in your rule book, that's like the one I suggest, because you're saying we recommend you start at the year 1280 or whatever, and 6 months into your game, we recommend that some cultists try to raise
yeah.
demon. Like I said, same fucking scenario. This is the most common one you should be having in a medieval
Or
fantasy game.
or
Uh,
yeah, or just like set up some faction that's one different thing and let the
yeah,
game master run with it. No, how about
yeah,
that? Yeah,
yeah. But okay, maybe if your party is smart enough to go after the cultists,
yeah,
it's an easier fight than if they don't,
yeah,
right? Or
yeah,
maybe another party fights the fucking cultists
yeah.
because your party decided not to. Like, roll a fucking die on that
But then
as the
at some
game
point also,
master.
like when, like, if you put like on the meta plot, the party can go fight the cultists at this point when they're trying to
Yeah.
before they try to raise the demon. If the party decide not to do it, some other adventurers do it,
Mhm.
then you're back on the railroad, like choo choo all aboard. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this is gonna happen no matter what. Then that kind of fucking sucks. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe I missed what you're saying, but like, those events happen in the world whether
Yeah,
you interact with them or not.
yeah. Like I said, like it's just like putting in the book like a fixed thing that's gonna happen that bothers me. You know what I mean? I want it to be I want to be more fluid. I want to figure out what's happening through
Mhm,
play
mhm.
with the player as we
Well,
play.
I'd say putting putting a fixed thing in the book is one thing. It's putting a fixed thing in the book that your players have to interact with.
Yeah, that's
If
that's
it's
helpful.
something if it's something that happens as a fixed event in the book, but it's in the background, it's maybe a tonal change, right? Like, we recommend that on this date in the game, you introduce these monsters into the world because your players chose not to do this quest line. So, like, say for the first 6 months, first year of the game, I don't know, in game time, orcs don't exist.
Yeah,
Your players will never come across them. But if they don't interact with this storyline, now they might interact with these creatures. It becomes a possible thing you can throw at them.
yeah, but you don't you like I said, I much rather if you want to give me this kind of information, give me some idea of some faction that wants something, and one of the guys is like, oh, this guy want
Yeah.
to, and then I'll put it in play when I find is serve the narrative we're trying to
Well,
create.
you control how fast the calendar moves in the game,
Yeah, yeah.
right? Within reason,
and
right?
and
Like,
I also because I also if that's a plot that's gonna happen at some point when it's appropriate, I'm gonna seed it, I'm gonna plant the
yeah.
seed, and then that's when it goes on the calendar. Oh, I heard this guy's trying to do this thing,
Mhm.
because if the player don't interact ever with that, and
I,
then it's just like something that happens suddenly, and then it's just like, oh yeah, this guy, yeah, you could have known it if you had investigated, and that if you went to this place, now well,
yeah.
you just seem like you're making up stuff randomly,
I think
it's not satisfying in my opinion.
you should seed, like, if you do the calendar thing like I suggested at the beginning, um, you should seed as the game master. You should seed some events through the calendar, like the cyberpunk game that I reference.
Yeah,
The date that the corporation eminent domained the bar
yeah.
was a hard thing before we even started.
Mm-hmm.
If we hadn't stopped that before we got to that point, that was happening.
Yeah,
Full
that's all right.
stop. That's the
Yeah,
end of the game. That's like a hard end point,
yeah.
right?
And you didn't do the thing.
Because you didn't do the thing that caused the fundamental function of, like, no one in the party died. We could go back, like, it's been more than a decade. I'm not in touch with any of those people, but we could all go back, try and figure out what our character sheets were, and play from that point forward, or 6 months or a year later, in continuity to that timeline. But none of us really wanted to, because the joke was over for us. The joke of not doing anything outside of the bar was over for us. So we never went back to that world, and
Mm-hmm.
time happened. I fell out of favor with that group, whatever. In contact with that group.
Yeah,
But that's okay, right? People come, people go in your life. That happens.
yeah, yeah. There's
Um,
no it will happen many times in your life. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Hopefully you are uh in the world, in the real world, enough to meet people and develop.
Me, no, I'm in the black void staring at the wall.
I'm not
I don't
even
meet.
that. I'm just like a fucking photograph on a wall somewhere.
Yeah, I don't fucking meet people.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though, right?
Yeah, other people's are hell. It's hell is other people. That's how you.
Uh, this
Flickr say
guy.
here's an unpopular opinion. Sandbox games are overrated and most are full of shit. I've never once played in a good sandbox game. Being a lazy GM doesn't make you a good GM because you run a sandbox.
Yeah. Well, what good? Like, if I'm to take the analogy literally, what fun is a sandbox without a fucking bucket and a shovel? You know.
Yeah, you need
Yeah.
stuff to do, but that's also that's like, yeah, sandboxes are not for everybody. Some people want to be told the story. So I often complain about the Witcher game. I fucking hate this game. Like, no, okay, no, that's too strong. I don't fucking hate
The
that game.
video game.
Yeah, I don't like that game because it's always trying to tell me a story, and I want to play a game. I want to make up stuff. I play like Warband. I just go there. You arrive in the continent and make up your own story. Let's find out who's this new character that I just created is gonna be. You know what I mean?
Well, it's okay. I understand that, like, it's a story game, and I can accept that. But you can spend 6 months on side quests.
Yeah.
Like, I'm using, like, it's a
That
generic long period of time. That's why I use 6 months. Like, it's a long period of time.
yeah. We're talking about the Witcher 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're like, oh, quick, I need to find Siri, but I'm gonna fuck around and helping all those like peasant around. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You're not going to do that. And there was one of the books that happened in.
Yeah, or
I think it was the third book. I stopped
Hmm.
maybe the one where the
I stopped reading after like a Trish diarrhea episode. I say,
I
I'm
don't
done.
remember the names of any of the fucking things. It's the one where there's like a demon, like a monster, and it turns out one of the guys at the academy made it.
Hmm.
I don't remember.
I don't know. Like I read like the Last Wish and Blood of Elves, and I
That's
didn't
like
get
the
into it.
first one, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you would like the Sword of Truth.
Oh yeah, maybe
Yeah.
it's too much magic, but
No. The magic in it is not like there's things of magic, but it's not. Trust me, try the first one. It gets better after that until like the
yeah.
ninth book, and you just stop.
But like yeah, like a sandbox are not gonna be for everyone. It's a style of play,
Mhm.
and there's different style of play, and that that's fair. You can
But
just like I said,
Railroad is always wrong.
well, like I said, some people just want to sit there and be told a story and be told what their character does. They go there, they're spectator. They go there like it's
Mhm,
they go
mhm.
see the storyteller and sit around the campfire and be told like, oh, I got this hero. I'd like you to tell me a story about this character I made.
Then do that. Go
Yeah,
watch a
and
movie,
that,
God damn
and
it.
then well, I agree with that, but like and also like, and even if you don't go all the way to railroad, there's like those theme park, which is like, oh,
Mhm.
you're gonna go on a ride, but you can choose which one. You know what I mean? Those
Well,
are not what those are
that-
fair enough. Those can be good enough, but
that's
that's
why that's what the
that's
calendar does, right?
yeah,
It creates events you can choose to go on to,
yeah,
and consequences for not going on them. That you know,
yeah. But I think oftentimes with theme park, like the if you don't go on one, well, it's gonna wait for you until you go.
yeah,
That's a bit of a problem.
that's exactly the
Mm.
problem.
But that's why also like they sell those module and those like adventure pattern book like that. It's like
Hmm.
because
That
people
fit
want
in
that.
just pretty
Yeah,
much anywhere.
yeah,
And if you're smart, the level that it's recommended for, you ignore.
yeah. Guardian of the Rune say I agree with everything say there. I guess it's when we were talking about politics. It's great. It's great to be part of the I mind the echo chamber. Yeah, instead of being on the outside. Justin is on point for once. Party on, Justin.
I'm always on point.
I
It's
don't know
you
about that.
who are on point.
You're almost on some point. I'll admit I had a problem with Sandbox game. The last one I ran, the player just like kind of messed up with in the tavern instead of adventuring. Well, then
You
you have
embrace it.
something needs to happen. Hmm?
Embrace that. Like
Yeah, embrace that.
if people are just messing around in the tavern, then they want to play a tavern drama game.
Mhm.
They're telling you what kind of game they want to play.
Or they want to play in the tavern, they attach to the tavern or whatever. Something may happen in the tavern. Like it's gonna
Yeah,
change.
like happened at the
It's,
bar
it's,
and
it's gonna change the level of adventure, the type of adventure, and then maybe it's not gonna be as epic as you expected, but it can
yeah.
still be stuff that happen.
You
Yeah.
shouldn't like,
Also,
personally I'd
some
say
player
you
are just
shouldn't be
jerk.
going
Some
for epic, right? You shouldn't be going
yeah.
for
Especially
epic.
not in the beginning, like especially not in the beginning, because you need like in the beginning start small, because that's how you're gonna involve the player in the world and make them care about the world. And then when
Hmm.
you want to send them on epic quest, because when everything is epic all the time, it gets fucking boring, because if everything is epic, nothing is, what I mean?
And boredom quickly becomes tedium.
Yeah.
And tedium is where people start inventing things like X cards or fucking dragon sex.
Well, that's because like well, society's the life nowadays too easy, so
Yeah.
people invent like fake problem. I think we like L say okay, got to go discuss PC debt for the millionth time on the biggest geekers. Yeah, that's the topic tonight, and now we're stepping on them. But
Uh,
I think
if
that was
you
a
want
good
to
talk.
end anytime you want to end,
Hmm?
I can go for another 6 months.
No, I think it's a good point to end. We reached we catch up with the end of the chat. We lost most of our viewer because I guess like they all like went to big geek biggest geekus, which is fair. It's at the regular
Yeah.
time. And or there's also might be like a one shot on the Victor Gorchev channel.
Yeah,
But
that and it's been 3 hours and 40 minutes almost.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's I thought we'd just like talk for an hour or so, but then we got caught up. It was good talking to you, Justin. I think it was a
Same to
good
you, same to you.
conversation. I don't know who's gonna watch. Thank you for people that joined us live and people that commented. Oh, go ahead
Yeah.
and say like Witcher is a good example of many side quests that are just as interesting as the campaign, but it does reduce the urgency. But the campaign isn't something that can be completed in a short order anyway. Yeah, that's the thing. Like it kind of like undermined, in my opinion, the campaign.
Yeah, it would have been better if that was just like if they had removed the Siri,
Yeah.
the
Also,
Siri story, and just let you be the Witcher, and those are
yeah.
things that come to you as the Witcher, right?
Yeah. Also, like to be honest, not the most interesting mechanically game, in my opinion. The combat really became semi-fast, I found.
Yeah, it's like the game I like the most, even though I haven't played in well over a week, is
Well
Conan.
over a week.
Uh,
Yeah.
Conan, like you're left to make your own story in that. There's
Mm.
shit going on in the world, but
Yeah.
I think the map is a little small, and the dungeons are just once you've done them all, you've done them all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not the most interesting part of the game. But also like I found like like I
Yeah,
told you
I
before, I
agree
think
with
the
you.
combat is
It's
too
too
sloppy.
samey.
Too
It's
sloppy as well. Like the
yeah,
hitbox are not precise enough and well.
yeah.
Anyway, thank you for people that joined us live and that watch and people that are interacted in chat. Thank you for people that's gonna watch later. And if you watch later and you fucking go to that point and watch the whole thing, let me know in the comment below. I want to see what kind of weirdo you are.
Yeah, and definitely party on.
Oh, Charlotte Wednesday, what is about the dragon sex? I feel like I'm missing something. I
It's
like I missed
disgusting.
something.
Don't do it.
Yeah, avoid dragon sex. It's degenerate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, for
my time
you
bar
all
is there.
what?
Yeah, for me, all sex is degenerate. But
Yeah.
I realize that I'm the odd one here. There, like
Yeah.
if you're married and if you still have children and if she's covered, that might be okay.
You like sex the Orthodox Jewish way through a sheet?
Well, I wouldn't went that way. All right. Thank you all guys for watching. Thank you,
Bye.
Justin, for joining me.
Party on,
I'm
man.
gonna
Party
end the stream now. Bye.
on. Yeah.